Chapter 22. Interesting. I'll bring you to watch the fun. As soon as the plain-clothed woman finished speaking, her figure instantly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu, who had been dumbfounded. She grabbed Du Xiaofu and flew out at a moderate speed, as if she didn't care about the people from the profound underworld sect who had already rushed over. A large area of the mountain range had turned into ruins. Two huge birds landed in the mountain range and did not move at all, as if they were dead. Their huge bodies were like two hills, and a ferocious aura spread out from their bodies. Under this aura, it caused the profound energy in one's body to become abnormally blocked, and even one's soul would tremble. Of the two huge birds, one shone with golden light and had a sharp and frightening aura. It was a golden-winged roc. The other bird was completely purple and shone like a phoenix. The scorching aura around it hadn't dissipated, and the terrifying scorching aura made it impossible for ordinary people to get close. When the people from the Sky Snake sect, profound underworld sect, and the white-haired old man arrived beside the two huge birds, their eyes immediately blazed with passion, and their hearts raced. This was definitely a treasure among treasures, a great opportunity. Powerful monstrous beasts have secret bones in their bodies, and these secret bones are treasures among treasures. Almost at the same time, Elder Copper Snake, Bald Zhong, and the white-haired old man took the lead and rushed towards the two huge birds. You want to get your hands on such treasures with your strength? You're courting death. A sharp shout rang out, and three streaks of light shot through the sky like rainbows, their power shocking to the extreme. Not good, there's an expert. Bald Zhong, Elder Copper Snake, and the white-haired old man's expressions changed drastically in midair. An enormous dangerous aura pressed down on them, and the three of them didn't dare to be careless. The mysterious runes on Bald Zhong's bald head seemed to come alive, and they instantly condensed into a large illusory bell that spiraled in front of them. Elder Copper Snake didn't fall behind. He threw out the snake-headed walking stick in his hand, and it turned into a python that was dozens of feet long. The white-haired old man's method was even more special. A strange hand seal was formed, and the aura behind him surged. As the shocking aura was released, it condensed into a white crane that flapped its wings and appeared behind him, protecting his body. Chi-la-la. The three streaks of light collided with each other. The big bell on top of the bald bell buzzed and then began to crack. The giant python phantom formed by the snake-headed walking stick in Elder Copper Snake's hand was pierced through. The red-crowned crane phantom in front of the white-haired elder also let out a miserable cry. Bang bang bang. The three experts were actually unable to receive even a single blow. They directly fell from the sky and heavily smashed onto the ground. Each of them spat out a mouthful of blood. Their eyes were filled with shock. They had never imagined that the three of them would actually be unable to receive even a single blow. Roar! Roar! Moo! Almost at the same time, three shocking beastly roars were heard, and three huge beastly figures appeared in front of everyone. One of them was a huge black bear, huge like a giant, with thick and solid paws like stone pillars, and a shocking aura. One of them was a huge blood-red tiger that was glaring at its prey, ready to pounce. The tiger's claws were incomparably sharp, and a cold glint flashed across them. The other one was a monster with a thunderous roar. Its huge body was dozens of feet long, like a small mountain. Just its voice alone was enough to cause the profound chi in one's body to fluctuate and cause one's blood to boil. When the three giant beasts appeared, they directly pounced on the people brought by the Sky Snake sect, the mysterious underworld sect, and the white-haired elder. These people were all able to fly in the air, and there was no doubt that they were absolutely famous experts in the outside world. However, in front of these three giant beasts, they couldn't even withstand a single blow. Ah, miserable shrieks were heard one after another. The 10 or so experts from the Sky Snake sect and the mysterious underworld sect were killed by the three giant beasts in just a few blinks of an eye. In the end, the three giant beasts' blood-red eyes once again locked onto the Bald Zhong, Elder Copper Snake, and the white-haired elder. They are all the kings of this barbaric beast mountain range. Usually, with the deterrence of the demonic phoenix, these demonic beast kings don't dare to act recklessly. Now that the demonic phoenix and the golden-winged roc have perished together, these demonic beasts want to devour the demonic phoenix and the golden-winged roc to evolve their strength again. The white-haired elder, Elder Copper Snake, and the bald Zhong knew very well what these terrifying demonic beasts wanted to do. Even if they were at their peak, it would be difficult for them to contend against these demonic beast kings. Now that they were heavily injured, the consequences could be imagined. Run, run quickly. We have suffered heavy losses, and we have no chance of obtaining the great treasure. When comparing the great treasure to one's life was naturally more important. If one's life was lost, no matter how great the great treasure was, it would be useless. The white-haired elder and the others were not weaklings, after all. The three of them immediately rushed into the sky and quickly fled. Roar! The three demonic beasts roared. These three demonic beast kings were relentless in their pursuit of the white-haired elder and the others. They also rushed into the sky and directly chased after them, causing the space to tremble violently. The surrounding towering trees were cut down one after another. Swish! After the three demonic beast kings disappeared, two figures appeared in midair, one big and one small. One of them was an old woman who looked to be in her 50s. Her back was slightly hunched, and her long hair was combed into a high bun with some white mottled hair. Her face looked a little old. However, the woman beside the old woman had an astonishing temperament. She was dressed in tight-fitting green clothes and held an exquisite bow in her hand. Her face was exquisite, and her figure was tall. Her entire being emitted a faint spiritual aura, as if she was an elf from the depths of the forest. It seems that among everyone here, only you can compete with me. May I know your name? The old woman looked in front of her, and her slightly hunched body straightened a little. There was no fluctuation of aura on her body, but she was able to directly float in midair. Her voice was a little sharp, and it was the same voice that had sounded when she attacked the white-haired elder and the others at the beginning. This proved that the one who had shot down Elder Copper Snake and the others at the beginning was also this old woman. I came here by accident, so I came to watch the show. It doesn't matter if I don't tell you my name. I didn't expect that you would actually bring someone from that clan with you. Could it be that you are related to that clan? As the clear voice sounded, the plain-clothed beautiful woman appeared in midair. Her expression was calm. After glancing at the young woman in tight-fitting clothes, her autumn eyes landed on the corpses of the purple demonic phoenix and the golden-winged great roc on the ground. It's her. Du Xiaofu stood in midair with the plain-clothed beautiful woman. His eyes were filled with surprise as they landed on the fairy-like woman beside the old woman. That woman was the one who had killed the 5 demonic mountain pangolin pigs with an arrow. He did not expect to see her again here. However, the fairy-like woman did not look at Du Xiaofu. Instead, her gaze landed on the 2 huge demonic beast corpses below. What terrifying demonic beasts! When Du Xiaofu looked at the golden-winged great roc and the purple demonic phoenix, he was quite shocked. Their mountain-like bodies and astonishing auras almost caused Du Xiaofu to fall from midair. What are you talking about? This old woman doesn't understand. However, since you are only here to watch the show, then the bones of the golden-winged great roc and the purple flame demonic phoenix will belong to this old woman. How about we split the essence blood and the other corpses equally? The old woman looked at the plain-clothed beautiful woman. She could faintly feel that the woman opposite her was very powerful, which made her feel a little afraid. Otherwise, the word equally would not exist in her dictionary. Chapter 23. There is no need to go through so much trouble. It is fate that I am able to encounter such a bustling scene. Naturally, I will not disappoint this fate. I want both the golden-winged roc and the purple flame demonic phoenix. The plain-clothed woman softly spoke. Her expression was calm, but there was a dignity that made it impossible for others to refuse. You are really arrogant. Since that is the case, let's see who will obtain them in the end. A sharp aura immediately erupted from the old woman's body after her words sounded. There was no need to continue the discussion. She had come with ill intentions. Her gaze instantly turned sharp, and a powerful energy surged from her body in all directions. At the same time, she placed the fairy-like woman on the ground. A terrifying pressure that was difficult to see with the naked eye, but could be clearly felt, instantly spread across the sky. You should also go down. Do not approach those two demonic beasts. The plain-clothed woman's voice sounded beside Du Xiaofu's ear. In the next instant, Du Xiaofu's body was wrapped by an invisible energy and landed on the ground. Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked at the plain-clothed woman in midair. He waved his long sleeve, and rays of light swiftly surged out from his body. Finally, they agglomerated into a dazzling light cluster in the sky. There were faint symbols that wrapped around it. In an instant, the energy fluctuations in the area were shocking. I can sense that you seem to have injuries on your body. It seems that your luck is not very good. The terrifying aura around the old woman fluctuated. A palm print was agglomerated, and symbols rippled. It ruthlessly swept towards the plain-clothed woman. Even if I have injuries on my body, you are still lacking. The plain-clothed, beautiful woman did not panic. However, her eyes faintly became a little more serious. It seemed that the strength of this old woman had also surprised her. Her delicate hand moved and a dazzling light appeared. The energy that permeated around her body also moved. It seemed to have caused the entire space to tremble as it blocked the old woman. Bang! A muffled sound rang out from the collision of energy, and substantial ripples spread out in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the two figures once again exchanged blows. Both of them were wrapped in dazzling light. Runes continuously appeared, and their might caused one's heart to tremble. Every time they collided, a thunderous explosion would erupt due to the collision of extremely powerful forces. Their figures flashed, and the two figures moved further and further away. It seemed that neither of them wanted to destroy the corpses of the golden-winged great roc and the purple-flamed demonic phoenix. Du Xiaofu naturally couldn't see the intense battle in the sky clearly. He could only look up to experts of that level. He secretly gritted his teeth. One day, he would definitely become such an expert, and the world would be his to roam freely. So, the fairy-like girl moved. Her beautiful figure flew directly towards the corpses of the golden-winged great roc and the purple-flamed demonic phoenix. Hulala! The golden light fluctuated, and the dead golden-winged great roc suddenly moved. Golden light suddenly fluctuated on its lifeless body, and a terrifying aura spread out like a wave. The aura was terrifying, and it swept out like a hurricane. Plop! The fairy-like girl had just approached the golden-winged great roc when she was immediately swept away by the golden light. Her body was directly blown away, and blood spurted from her mouth. She had no strength to resist. Be careful. When Du Xiaofu heard the words of the plain-clothed beauty, he didn't intend to go near the corpses of the two huge beasts. However, at this moment, when he saw the fairy-like girl being blown away, his first reaction was to fly out and directly catch the fairy-like girl. Plop! Although Du Xiaofu caught the fairy-like girl, the huge impact completely exceeded his imagination. It was like a huge and fierce shock wave had struck him, and his internal organs felt like they were about to shatter. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and together with the fairy-like girl, he fell to the ground at the same time. The two of them heavily fell together. The woman on top and the man on the bottom. Their cheeks were tightly pressed against each other. Their lips that were covered in blood also touched each other, causing a blush to instantly appear on the face of the fairy-like young lady. Coo! The golden-winged great roc came back to life, and its huge body instantly stood up. The sharp claws on its abdomen immediately grabbed towards the purple flame demonic phoenix's abdomen, as if it wanted to tear apart space. At the same time, the purple flame demonic phoenix also came back to life. Its sharp and slender phoenix claws wrapped in purple flames took the lead to grab the golden-winged great rock's abdomen. In this short moment, the golden-winged great rock's sharp and intimidating eyes surged with despair and fear. Then, it revealed a ruthless expression. Dazzling mysterious symbols flickered around its body, and its aura soared like lightning, causing the energy in the area to rapidly rise. Not good, the two demonic beasts have come back to life. Look, run quickly. Du Xiaofu lay on the ground. His entire body felt as if it had fallen apart, and he almost fainted. At this moment, the girl was tightly pressed against his chest, and he did not have any other thoughts. Furthermore, he could only watch as the two demonic beasts woke up. They stood up like mountains, and their terrifying aura caused one's heart to tremble. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the tight-fitting girl immediately reacted. Her body immediately leapt up, and she spat out another mouthful of blood. She ran forward with all her might. In front of the two demonic beasts, she knew that she did not have any power to resist. Du Xiaofu wanted to escape, but his body felt as if it had fallen apart, and he could not get up at all. The profound qi in his body churned, and his body felt as if it was about to explode. Self-exploding secret bones, damn it. Just as the revived purple flame demonic phoenix stabbed its claws into the golden-winged great rock's abdomen, its expression suddenly changed, as if it had encountered the most terrifying thing. Everything seemed to take a long time to describe, but it happened in a flash. Run! In the distant midair, the old woman and the plain-clothed beautiful woman also sensed the shocking change below at the first instance. The old woman's expression changed drastically. She let out a loud cry and her body charged downwards. She grabbed the fairy-like woman in tight clothes and retreated with lightning speed. The plain-clothed beauty's expression also changed greatly. Her figure was like a rainbow, and she directly rushed toward Du Xiaofu. Roar! Moo! The three crimson tiger, the gigantic strength black bear, and the sonic beast that had chased after Elder Copper Snake and the other two demonic beasts not long ago returned. Three terrifying waves of energy directly attacked the beautiful woman. Evil beast, you're courting death. The beautiful woman was furious. Her calm expression changed, and in an instant, she became fierce. A dazzling light filled the air around her, and there were talisman runes flashing out. In an instant, they formed a special handprint in front of her. This handprint appeared in front of her, and it was like a bright moon, sacred and majestic, clear and pure as ice. The light shone and covered the surrounding heaven and earth. A terrifying wave of energy erupted, as if it wanted to shatter the heaven and earth mountain range. Then, it ruthlessly slammed toward the three demonic beast kings. Bang, bang, bang. The attacks of the three demonic beast kings were destroyed by this handprint. Then, the talisman runes around the three demonic beast kings were shattered. Their tough skin began to explode, and blood gushed out. In the end, large chunks of flesh fell off, and even white bones were exposed. In the end, their bodies directly exploded in the air. The three demonic beast kings were killed by the plain-clothed beauty in a single move. It was terrifying. Rumble. The golden-winged rock's body had already exploded, and at the same time, the purple flame demonic phoenix exploded as well. The golden light energy and the purple flame overflowed into the sky, converging into a violent energy storm that swept out. Even the space seemed to be destroyed. The surrounding mountain range was riddled with holes, and the heaven and earth cracked. At this moment, the entire heaven and earth trembled. A terrifying wave of energy spread out, destroying everything in its path. Waves of energy shot into the sky like meteorites, covering the sky and earth. The destructive aura descended as if it was going to destroy the world. Chapter 24. The plain-clothed woman was wrapped in dazzling light as she rushed into the storm, wanting to save Du Xiaofu. Everything happened quickly and ended quickly. The energy dissipated and the mountains in the surrounding mountain range collapsed. The ground cracked and a huge crack spread out like an abyss. The golden-winged rock and the purple-flame demonic phoenix had both chosen to self-detonate. In the end, they died together. With the bloodline and intelligence of the two demonic beasts, it was impossible for them to leave their bodies for others to humiliate. They would rather self-detonate than allow others to refine their bodies into various treasures. That was not only an insult to them, but also an insult to their entire bloodline of demonic beasts. Therefore, some high-level demonic beasts would take the initiative to self-detonate and they died to prevent others from targeting them. The plain-clothed woman stood in the messy pit. Du Xiaofu's figure had also disappeared. Without a doubt, in the terrifying storm of destructive energy, Du Xiaofu, who was close at hand, could not resist at all. He had turned into ashes along with the golden-winged rock and the purple-flamed demonic phoenix. In the end, I was the one who harmed you. I don't have the face to see him again. Forget it. After all, this is not the place I left behind. Looking at the messy surroundings, the plain-clothed woman's expression was somewhat gloomy. After a while, her plain-clothed green clothes fluttered and she flew into the sky, disappearing directly. In the distance, at the top of a towering tree, the old woman pulled the fairy-like girl and looked at the messy mountain range. She sighed and said, "I didn't expect the golden-winged rock and the purple-flame demonic phoenix to be so ruthless." In the end, they chose to self-detonate and die together. Everything was destroyed. If you could obtain the blood and bones of the golden-winged rock and the purple-flame demonic phoenix at the same time, you would be able to dominate the world. It's a pity that you missed such a great opportunity. The fairy-like girl did not speak. Her eyes were like water. After a while, she said to the old woman beside her, "Master, is that young man dead?" Of course he died. The self-destruction of the golden-winged rock and purple-flame demonic phoenix was too terrifying. Even his master couldn't save him. Even she had to avoid the explosion of the golden-winged rock and the purple-flame demonic phoenix's bones. However, the plain-clothed woman dared to rush in. It was enough to prove that she was stronger than her. Moreover, she had already sensed that the plain-clothed woman was injured. Otherwise, it would have been even more difficult for her to fight back. He saved me, or else he wouldn't have died, and I wouldn't have survived either. The young girl said softly. She knew that if that young man hadn't saved her, she would be the one who would be dead now. We should go. The old woman didn't say anything else. She glanced at the messy mountain range again with pity before flying away with the young girl. Stone City, dusk. The sun was setting in the west, and the setting sun was like blood. In the Du family, Du Junwu paced back and forth with a serious expression. In the end, he stopped and looked at Du Zhixiong beside him. It's been so many days. Why is there still no news of Xiaofu's whereabouts? Is there no news at all? Du Zhixiong's face was a little haggard, as if he hadn't rested for a long time. He said to Du Junwu, "We've already done our best to investigate, but there's still no news. The other clans haven't had any contact with outsiders recently either. In addition, there have been 2 beast tides in the barbaric beast mountain range recently. Many demon hunters have encountered accidents, and the survivors have all fled into the city. During this period of time, no one dares to casually enter the barbaric beast mountain range. Let's put the matters in the barbaric beast mountain range aside for now. Finding Xiaofu is the most important thing right now." Du Junwu frowned. Then, his expression changed slightly. He said, "The beast tide in the barbaric beast mountain range is unusual. I'm afraid that a treasure has appeared. You should pay attention as well. At the very least, we can't let the other clans obtain the treasure." "I understand. I've already sent people to pay attention." Du Zhixiong nodded. Then, he said, "Last night, the beast tide approached the stone city. That person in the city let out a sound of deterrence, which deterred the approaching beast tide. That's why the beast tide didn't flood the stone city. Otherwise, the consequences of the stone city would be severe. Rumor has it that the person in the city can't hold on for much longer. If it wasn't for that person's deterrence, the other clans would have already made their move. Once that person in the city can't hold on anymore, the stone city will no longer be peaceful. The Yi clan will be the first to be affected. Du Junwu frowned. Then, he said softly, I heard that the girl from the Yi clan has been getting closer with the younger generation of the other clans, including my Du clan. Her real goal should be to choose allies. If that person in the city can't hold on anymore, the Yi clan will need allies. Brother, what should we do? Du Zhixiong asked. Let's wait and see. Du Junwu looked at Du Zhixiong. Suddenly, he changed the topic and asked, have you notified third brother about Xiaofu? Du Zhixiong shook his head. He said, I haven't seen third brother at all these days. He's probably hiding somewhere to relieve his worries. I don't know what happened in the main clan back then for third brother to become like this. I'm really useless as his big brother. I can't help at all. Now, I can't even look after third brother's child. Du Junwu's eyes were filled with tears. Brother, don't blame yourself too much. I'll do my best to find Xiaofu. Du Zhixiong also blamed himself. He had already done his best to search, but there were no clues at all. He was really worried about the results of the search. Panic spread throughout the entire stone city. The beast tide was approaching and had almost attacked the stone city, causing the people in the city to panic. Some of the demon hunter teams that often rolled around in the Savage Beast Mountain range also hurriedly hid in the stone cities at this time. They simply didn't dare to enter the Savage Beast Mountain range again. It was said that after these two beast tides, the number of demon hunter teams and adventurers who died was already unknown. A beast tide has appeared in the Savage Beast Mountain range. Could it be that a treasure has appeared? Last night, there were flames in the Savage Beast Mountain range in the distance, like the sun rising from the east. Could it be that some heavenly treasure has really appeared? Even if there is a treasure, you need to be alive to take it. All kinds of discussions immediately spread out in the streets and alleys of the Stone City. They all revolved around the changes in the Savage Beast Mountain range. Most people guessed that the recent changes in the Savage Beast Mountain range were probably due to the birth of a treasure. This news made many people's eyes burn with passion. Some were eager to try. If they could obtain a treasure, then they would really make a fortune. Pain, it's very painful. When Du Xiaofu regained consciousness, he suddenly felt his chest heating up. A sharp pain came from the position of his heart. That kind of pain was connected to his heart. It was so painful that it was indescribable. Du Xiaofu vaguely felt that at this moment, there was a section of his sternum that had been forcefully torn apart at the position of his heart. Then, another section of his sternum had been forcibly reattached. The two were completely incompatible, just like fire and water. In that kind of intense pain, the half of the broken bone that was forcefully connected to his chest was like a dazzling golden ball of light. A kind of strange golden blood seeped out from the broken bone and directly flowed into Du Xiaofu's heart, blood vessels, meridians, skin, flesh, muscles, and even the bones in his body. Chapter 25. The golden blood seeped out of the half-broken sternum and gradually evaporated the blood in Du Xiaofu's body. This type of blood was too fierce and overbearing. It was simply unable to fuse with the blood in Du Xiaofu's body. Du Xiaofu's heart, blood vessels, meridians, skin, flesh, and bones were simply unable to withstand the overbearing power of this overbearing blood. Seeing that they were about to be destroyed by this overbearing blood, the intense pain caused Du Xiaofu, who had only just regained consciousness, to be unable to let out a scream. He could only feel the most excruciating pain in the world. I didn't expect that a hateful human like you was just an ordinary person. Hateful human. Just when Du Xiaofu felt that his body was about to be destroyed into pieces, a delicate voice suddenly sounded from within his body. The delicate voice even contained despair and anger. Immediately after, Du Xiaofu felt a purple flame rise from within his body. It enveloped his body and helped him resist the overbearing power of the blood. As the purple flame rose, it immediately resisted part of the overbearing power of the blood. However, the purple flame also brought about a scorching pain. It caused Du Xiaofu's internal organs, bones, and muscles to feel as if they were being burned by the high temperature. In addition to the pain brought about by the overbearing power of the blood, Du Xiaofu felt as if he had fallen into the 18th level of hell. Du Xiaofu didn't know what exactly was going on. His consciousness only vaguely remembered that when the two giant birds exploded, a terrifying energy storm swept over and a purple streak directly swept towards him. At that time, he simply couldn't struggle at all. Under the scorching heat, an intense pain instantly spread through his mind. Following that, his consciousness became blurry, and then he completely lost consciousness. Under the intense pain, Du Xiaofu really couldn't resist anymore. That kind of intense pain wasn't something a human could endure, let alone two kinds of pain at the same time. Du Xiaofu's consciousness became blurry again under the intense pain. This time, at the end of his blurry consciousness, Du Xiaofu could faintly feel that with the help of the rising purple flame, the golden blood that was spreading out from the broken bones in his chest began to seep into his drained body. The golden blood seemed to be afraid of the purple flame and began to flow within Du Xiaofu's drained body. It began to connect with the broken bones, as if it was connected by blood. However, no matter how overbearing and fierce the golden blood was, destroying and evaporating the blood in Du Xiaofu's body, there was always a last trace of blood in Du Xiaofu's body that couldn't be completely destroyed and evaporated. However, that trace of blood was too weak and was gradually covered by the flowing golden blood. Just like that, time slowly passed. Within the broken bones in Du Xiaofu's chest, there seemed to be an endless amount of golden blood flowing out, until all the blood in Du Xiaofu's body turned into a faint golden color. It covered his bones, muscles, and internal organs, flowing through his blood vessels and meridians, nourishing all the bones in his body. During this process, the purple flame was constantly helping. Otherwise, with the overbearing and fierce power of the golden blood, Du Xiaofu's body wouldn't have been able to resist at all and would have been destroyed 800 times over. Ku. After an unknown amount of time, the broken bones in Du Xiaofu's chest emitted a hissing sound. Mysterious talisman patterns on the broken bones flickered and gushed out. The broken bones trembled violently and fluctuated with energy, as if they were about to explode. They didn't want to fuse with Du Xiaofu at all. The mysterious talisman patterns on the broken bones fluctuated, and even the purple flame found it difficult to suppress them. The energy fluctuations became more and more intense, and the faint golden blood boiled and surged. The broken bones were about to explode. The energy fluctuations were terrifying. When the time came, Du Xiaofu's body would probably be directly blown to smithereens. Whoosh! At this moment, mysterious rays of light suddenly bloomed from Du Xiaofu's body. Mysterious rays of light jumped out. These rays of light seemed a little turbid and dim. They were connected to his meridians and blood vessels. When they finally intertwined and condensed together, a terrifying power spread out, turning into a net of light that directly covered the broken bones. Coo-coo. The broken bones suddenly hissed and wailed. The violently fluctuating broken bones gradually shrank under the cover of the net of light. Although it tried to struggle, it was still tightly trapped, as if it was suffering the most terrifying suppression. Martial Vein Spiritual Seal. The martial vein has formed a spiritual seal. What kind of martial vein is this? It's obviously less than 30% of the martial vein. How can it form a martial vein spiritual seal? Only the most terrifying people in the world can have such a martial vein. This human is too strange. The purple flame fluctuations, under the cover of the net of light, also began to rapidly retreat, as if it was afraid of the net of light that wrapped the broken bones. Cuckoo! The broken bones made a final struggle. The mysterious talisman patterns continued to surge out, and finally turned into a golden-winged rock that flapped its wings and soared into the sky. It directly attacked the net of light in an overbearing and fierce manner, wanting to break the net of light. The net of light was really broken by the golden-winged rock shadow, but immediately after, the net of light tightly wrapped the golden-winged rock shadow. A magnificent and desolate aura surged, confronting and struggling with the golden-winged rock. But in the end, the golden-winged rock was still suppressed, and was directly penetrated by the net of light. The golden-winged rock shadow immediately turned into countless mysterious talisman patterns that spread out, and also rushed into Du Xiaofu's mind. Du Xiaofu seemed to be in a dream, a strange dream. In that strange dream, he saw an inconceivable scene. It was a vast galaxy, with stars falling and jumping, and the firmament shaking. In the middle, there was a terrifying golden-winged rock crossing the galaxy. It flapped its wings and soared into the 9 heavens, shattering stars one after another, and circling above the galaxy. The cries of the golden-winged rock shook the galaxy, and it was so terrifying. This dream seemed to have lasted for a very long time. When Du Xiaofu woke up from the dream, his head was groggy, as if it was about to be torn apart. His whole body felt like it was falling apart, and the sharp pain in his body did not disappear. No, this is the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock. Du Xiaofu suddenly opened his eyes. The mysterious talisman patterns and the golden-winged rock shadow in the dream were all the cultivation methods of the golden-winged rock clan. They were divided into 3 parts: body cultivation, qi cultivation, and innate beast energy cultivation. Then, Du Xiaofu found himself in an unfamiliar cave. He was still naked, and his clothes had unknowingly turned to ashes. His body also seemed to be falling apart, but Du Xiaofu was sure that at least he was still alive. He did not know what happened to the golden-winged rock and the purple rock after their bodies exploded, but as long as he was still alive, it was definitely a good thing. I'm not dead, and I also obtained the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock. Chapter 26. After sorting out his thoughts, Du Xiaofu immediately discovered a shocking fact. Apart from not dying, he had also obtained the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock clan. The golden-winged rock was a top-notch existence among the demon clan. It could only be encountered in legends. According to legends, any golden-winged rock was a terrifying existence, causing countless experts to tremble in fear. It's a pity that human warriors can't cultivate the cultivation method of the beast clan. Du Xiaofu felt that it was a pity. From the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock that he had comprehended, Du Xiaofu felt that the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock was extremely powerful. It was extremely similar to the cultivation methods of the human clan, but it was even more superior. Especially the cultivation method of the body cultivation and the innate beast energy. It was simply not comparable to the cultivation methods of the human clan. However, human warriors could not cultivate the cultivation methods of the beast clan at all. They were originally 2 different races, with completely different bloodlines and physiques. How could they cultivate the cultivation methods of the beast clan? They could only comprehend and cultivate the beast energy of the beast clan. Of course, no matter how terrifyingly talented a warrior was, his comprehension and cultivation of the beast energy of the beast clan could not be compared to that of the real beast clan. Oh no, my celestial qi is about to explode. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's expression changed greatly. The celestial qi in his body, which was originally full, had reached an uncontrollable stage. He did not know what was going on, but at this moment, countless celestial qi suddenly surged out of his body. This celestial qi was surging in his acupuncture points and meridians. There was no place for it to go, and there was more and more of it, as if it was about to burst his body. Du Xiaofu's expression turned completely serious. He felt the changes in his body. The endless terrifying celestial chi that was surging out was actually coming from the broken bone in his chest. It caused his chest to feel as if there was a blazing golden fireball. A large amount of celestial chi kept surging out, and it looked like his internal organs and meridians were about to explode. Stupid kid, quickly activate your cultivation method and transform the celestial chi in the bones of the golden-winged rock into your own celestial chi. Otherwise, you're dead for sure. At this moment, a Sanskrit voice appeared in Du Xiaofu's ears. He didn't know where it came from, but the voice gave Du Xiaofu a sense of déjà vu, as if he had heard it somewhere before. How am I supposed to do that? I've never practiced any martial arts before. At this critical moment, Du Xiaofu did not first wonder who the person was. The important thing was that he had never cultivated any cultivation method before. Now, he did not know what to do. If he had known earlier, he would not have been able to find the purple Qi Chaoyang scripture in the martial arts depository tower. He would have cultivated the inferior Xianyang Hao Qi technique. At least now, he would not be so helpless. How can you have Xian Qi if you haven't practiced any cultivation techniques? You're finished now. Don't tell me you don't even have a cultivation technique. The Sanskrit female voice continued to enter Du Xiaofu's ears. The voice was filled with worry and solemnity. No one had ever encountered such a situation before. Ah, the broken bone in the sky emitted a golden light as talisman runes ceaselessly gushed out. Accompanied by surging profound energy, it caused Du Xiaofu's body to become more and more unable to endure it. His entire body had already swelled up like a balloon and was about to explode at any moment. The enormous pain caused Du Xiaofu to emit a miserable cry. Cultivation method, the golden-winged rock's cultivation method. Let's try. Amidst the intense pain, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly lit up. The celestial qi was about to explode. Now, he only knew the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock. He could not just sit and wait for death. Although it was impossible for human warriors to practice the cultivation method of demonic beasts, especially the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock, he had to at least try. Resisting the intense pain in his body that was about to explode, Du Xiaofu condensed a handprint in his hand. Immediately, he began to practice according to the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock. The bloodline and physique of demonic beasts were completely different from that of humans. Originally, it was impossible for humans to practice the cultivation method of demonic beasts. However, at this moment, as Du Xiaofu circulated the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock, there was an immediate effect. The circulation of the golden-winged rock's cultivation method was invisibly connected with the broken bone in his chest, making Du Xiaofu feel an invisible connection. Du Xiaofu felt that he was like a golden-winged rock at this time. This cultivation method was not difficult for him. It was even connected with his bloodline. This cultivation method seemed to be innately suitable for him to practice. The degree of connection made Du Xiaofu himself feel shocked and incredulous. However, everything was really happening. As Du Xiaofu circulated the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock family, the celestial qi that was endlessly gushing out from the broken bone directly began to become Du Xiaofu's own celestial qi. The cultivation level of warriors was divided into the acquired realm and the congenital realm. The acquired realm was divided into 9 levels. Only after completing all 9 levels could one set foot in the congenital realm. It turned out that although Du Xiaofu had celestial qi in his body, he did not practice any cultivation method, nor did he have any realm to speak of. He only relied on his moves and celestial qi to forcibly support himself to defeat his opponent. Acquired Realm 1, Acquired Realm 2, Acquired Realm 3, at this moment, as Du Xiaofu practiced the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock family, the celestial qi in his body and the celestial qi gushing out from the broken bone immediately returned to their original positions. Following the cultivation method, the celestial qi in his body converged into the spirit gate in his lower abdomen, and then reincarnated through the acupoints and meridians all over his body. His realm level was also like a rocket that directly soared. From the original no realm level, in an extremely fast speed, it unceasingly broke through those layers of invisible barriers. After an unknown period of time, Du Xiaofu's swollen body had long since returned to normal. His whole body was wrapped in circles of golden light, illuminating the cave with golden light. A tyrannical and ferocious aura spread out. Immediately after, within the golden light that wrapped Du Xiaofu, there were countless mysterious talisman patterns flickering out. These mysterious talisman patterns carried the terrifying aura of the golden-winged rock family, enough to make all beasts tremble. When those densely packed mysterious talisman patterns behind Du Xiaofu directly arranged and condensed into a virtual image of the golden-winged rock, that terrifying power also reached the peak. The virtual image seemed to be injected with life, wanting to spread its wings and soar into the sky, suppressing the experts of heaven and earth. It was tyrannical and ferocious to the point of terror. During this process, along with the operation of the golden-winged rock's cultivation method, Du Xiaofu also entered a kind of wonderful state. In that wonderful state, Du Xiaofu felt like he was a human-shaped golden-winged rock. Pale golden blood flowed in his body was sublimating. His internal organs, tendons, bones, muscles, and everything else was transforming and strengthening. It was as if he had been washed clean of lead and was getting closer to the powerful physique of the golden-winged rock. He did not know how powerful he would become. In that wonderful state, Du Xiaofu was immersed in it, as if he had been petrified. Only his whole body was wrapped in golden light, and his aura was also constantly rising. The virtual image of the golden-winged rock behind him changed unpredictably. For a moment, it wanted to flap its wings and soar into the sky. For a moment, it looked like it was looking down on all living things. Then, it turned into mysterious talisman patterns, and then arranged and condensed again. Chapter 27. Du Xiaofu was engrossed in his cultivation. It was as if he was a newly born golden-winged rock. He was constantly absorbing oxygen, searching for everything he needed, obtaining everything that could strengthen himself, and comprehending everything, Walala. Inside the cave, there was a faint rumbling sound. A terrifying pressure swept out. It was extremely shocking. At this moment, if there were experts who could see everything in the cave, they would definitely be shocked. If this news were to spread, it would be enough to shock the world. A human has fused with the bones of the golden-winged rock. The blood of the golden-winged rock flows in his body. He is cultivating the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock. Miracle, this is a miracle. Inside Du Xiaofu's body, who was immersed in a wonderful state, there was a female voice in Sanskrit. Early in the morning, the building was separated by a deep courtyard. "Father, are you looking for me?" A young lady gently walked into the majestic hall. She was wearing an orange-red outfit that accentuated her slender and tall legs and her slim waist that could not even be held in one arm. It caused her originally tall figure to become even taller and slender. Her elegant temperament had a hint of coolness that was extremely moving. "Shengnan, a lot of strange things have happened in the barbaric beast mountain range recently. I received news that the Sky Snake sect, the mysterious underworld sect, and the profound talisman sect have already sent experts into the barbaric beast mountain range. What do you think?" A middle-aged man said to the young girl. He was quite fat and had a big belly. He wasn't very tall, but he had an absolute majesty that made people feel intimidated. The Sky Snake sect, the mysterious underworld sect, and the profound talisman sect. The young girl raised her eyebrows. There was a hint of surprise in her bright eyes. She then raised her head and said to the fat middle-aged man, "Father, let me go and take a look. I'm afraid that some treasure has appeared in the barbaric beast mountain range. With the name of my sect, even if I meet them, they won't dare to do anything to me. Shengnan, when you were born, I named you Shengnan because I hoped that you would be stronger than a man. All these years, you have indeed been stronger than your younger brother. However, it was not easy for you to come back from the sect. Father feels a little, Father, I'm fine. If my sect finds out about this, I'm afraid they'll send me to the barbaric beast mountain range immediately. If there are any benefits, I can't let the Sky Snake sect, the Profound Underworld sect and the Profound Talisman sect get it. The young girl interrupted the middle-aged man's words. She smiled and said, maybe I can get some opportunities in the barbaric beast mountain range this time. It is said that there are many demonic beasts in the barbaric beast mountain range. I have long wanted to see it. You little girl, if your younger siblings were half as good as you, I would be satisfied. The middle-aged man looked at the young girl and smiled. Then, he said seriously, I will have a few experts from the palace accompany you. Be careful. I understand. The girl nodded. Half a month had passed since the beast tide had passed outside the stone city. After 2 terrifying beast tides, the third beast tide that everyone was worried about did not happen. Some people also discovered that everything in the savage beast mountain range had gradually calmed down. There must be a treasure that has appeared. That's why the beast tide has been triggered. Now that the treasure has appeared, let's hurry up and search for it. We can't miss this opportunity. The panic and fear brought about by the beast tide had faded away with time. Coupled with the attraction of the treasure, there was finally a group of demonic beast hunters who decided to take the risk and search for the treasure. When there was a first, there was a second. Many demonic beast hunter groups entered the barbaric beast mountain range again. They planned to search for the treasure that had appeared in the barbaric beast mountain range. Then, a large number of adventurers rushed into the barbaric beast mountain range. Bang! In the courtyard of the Du family, Du Junwu's hand suddenly landed on the stone table, smashing it into pieces. His eyes were filled with anger as he shouted, who the hell broke into my Du family and took away Xiaofu? If I find out, I will not let them go. Big brother, we haven't been able to find out. It's already been so long. Xiaofu, he. Du Zhixiong sighed. His face was pale. For so long, he had been searching for all sorts of information every day. It had been a long time since he had a good rest. In addition, he was worried about his nephew's safety. Under anxiety and worry, he had lost a lot of weight. I believe that Xiaofu is blessed by the heavens. Back then, even a bolt of lightning didn't take his life. One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune in the future. Du Zhixiong's face was stern. Then, he looked at Du Zhixiong and said, have you told third brother? Du Zhixiong nodded and sighed. After I told third brother, he didn't have any reaction. He's still as drunk as mud every day. Du Junwu didn't say anything. His expression was constantly changing. Then, he said, what's the situation in the barbaric beast mountain range? The Yi family, Tong family, and Qin family have all sent people into the barbaric beast mountain range. It's rumored that a treasure has appeared in the barbaric beast mountain range. Du Zhixiong raised his head and said, Big brother, our Du family can't fall behind. Shouldn't we go in and join in the fun? Go in personally and bring a few juniors to train. It's a pity that Xiaofu isn't here. Otherwise, he would definitely be able to improve faster. Du Junwu sighed. In the mysterious cave, there were rumbling sounds, as if there were 10,000 horses galloping. Du Xiaofu's body flickered with golden light. His Xian Qi fluctuated and mysterious runes flickered. It was as if there were bursts of auspicious clouds that shook the cave. In the golden light, Du Xiaofu's skin glowed. It was as if mysterious runes could appear on every inch of his skin. The light became more and more dazzling, like a small sun. True Yang is the sect. For example, the heavenly treasure and the moon are together, the clouds are clear and there is no shadow. A round of light fills the great void. The golden cauldron sprouts every day. The postnatal perfection is achieved and the innate divine watchtower is opened. Finally, Du Xiaofu roared loudly. The light on his body trembled, and the Xian Qi in his body rushed into the divine watchtower below his abdomen. G. At this moment, the mysterious runes on Du Xiaofu's back rearranged themselves and condensed into the image of a golden rock. It roared and hissed, and it sounded as if thunder was rumbling. The mysterious runes spat out, and its might was domineering and ferocious. Bang! A muffled sound came from the divine watchtower below his abdomen. Du Xiaofu's body trembled violently, and then the divine watchtower's door opened wide. Boundless Xian Qi instantly gathered in the divine watchtower. Its aura swept out like a vast ocean, and the mysterious runes on his body flickered. When the divine watchtower opened and Xian Qi poured in, the mysterious runes flickered. It was as if a golden rock had formed within the divine watchtower, and its might was shocking. On his chest, the broken bone shone with a golden light. A terrifying and domineering aura spread out from it. It was domineering and ferocious, as if it had an aura that could suppress everything. The difference between the postnatal realm and the innate realm was not only the huge difference in their realms, but also the huge difference in their realms. The main difference was that postnatal realm warriors could only rely on cultivation techniques to slowly accumulate Xian Qi to break through. However, innate realm warriors were already able to absorb the spiritual Qi and energy of heaven and earth to cultivate. This required the divine watchtower to open and gather the spiritual Qi and energy of heaven and earth for one's own use. Opening the divine watchtower in one's body was also the proof and representative of the innate realm. Ah! With a loud shout, his heart surged. The mysterious runes on his body flickered, and the Xian Qi in the divine watchtower was like a vast ocean. Du Xiaofu felt a powerful force surging in his body. This kind of power was far stronger than before, and it was unknown how many times stronger it was. Chapter 28. Walala. In that instant, the golden-winged rock silhouette behind Du Xiaofu once again turned into talisman engravings and entered his body. It was as if the talisman engravings had merged into his body, leaving no trace behind. However, it caused Du Xiaofu's body to crackle and emit a sonorous sound. His entire body emitted an overbearing golden radiance until the golden radiance around his body gradually disappeared. Phew! When everything calmed down, Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of turbid air. He opened his eyes, and within his clear and bright eyes, for some reason, there was a faint golden color that emitted an overbearing aura. Innate realm, I directly broke through to the innate realm. Feeling the changes in his body, Du Xiaofu himself was dumbfounded. Not long ago, he was still a person without any cultivation, but in such a short period of time, he had actually reached the innate realm. Innate realm, he had truly become a cultivator. A cultivator in the innate realm could walk unhindered in the entire stone city. What a powerful cultivation method of the golden-winged rock clan! Du Xiaofu exclaimed with admiration. Being able to miraculously step foot into the Xiantian realm, Du Xiaofu was clearly aware in his heart that it was probably related to the cultivation technique of the golden-winged rock clan. Moreover, the cultivation technique of the golden-winged rock clan was far from just this, and there were other body refinement techniques that were even more formidable and contained boundless profundities. Feeling the changes in his body, Du Xiaofu felt as if his entire body had once again undergone a cleansing of his bones and marrow. He had once again been reborn. The cultivation method of the golden-winged rock was too overbearing. After a while, Du Xiaofu recovered from his shock and surprise. He didn't expect that not only had he stepped into the Xiantian stage, but he had also practiced the cultivation method of the golden-winged great Pang. All of this was inconceivable and unbelievable. Reaching out his hand to touch his chest, where his heart was located, Du Xiaofu could feel that the place where one of his ribs had been forcibly broken was connected with another broken bone. This broken bone was related to the golden-winged rock. The cultivation method of the golden-winged rock in his body came from this broken bone. The profound qi that had been continuously gushing out from the broken bone stopped after he opened the divine gate and stepped into the Xiantian realm. No more profound qi gushed out, and the broken bone fused seamlessly with his bones. It was as if it was originally part of his body. Everything was extremely mysterious and profound. Where is this place? Why am I here? Only now did Du Xiaofu realize that he was in a cave. He didn't know how he got in, but his body was still naked. He was clearly in the midst of the storm caused by the self-destruction of the golden-winged roc and the purple-flamed demonic phoenix. How did he appear here? The purple robe on his body also seemed to be burned by something. Faintly, Du Xiaofu seemed to remember that his body emitted a purple flame, burning his clothes to ashes. Not far from him, Du Xiaofu also found the jade bottle that originally contained the blood essence of the violent stone demonic wolf and 2 brocade boxes that originally contained the foundation establishment pills. However, at this time, only a little residue was left of the jade bottle and brocade boxes, as if they had been burned away by the high temperature. This made Du Xiaofu's heart ache. The blood essence of the violent stone demonic wolf and the foundation establishment pills were not cheap. Originally, Du Xiaofu thought that he would use them to baptize himself in the foundation establishment realm and break through to the innate realm. But now that he had already reached the innate realm, and there seemed to be many changes in his body, all of which came from the golden-winged roc. Compared to the violent stone demonic wolf, it was simply the difference between heaven and earth. The violent stone demonic wolf was simply incomparable. Du Xiaofu also felt relieved. A surprised expression appeared on Du Xiaofu's face. He originally thought that everything had been burned away, but he found 2 objects beside him. A small pagoda and a beast bone, which he had inadvertently obtained and kept when he was searching for the purple Qi Chaoyang scripture in the martial repository of the Du family. The jade bottle and brocade box had been burned to ashes, but the small pagoda and the beast bone were not damaged at all. This made Du Xiaofu feel strange, and he felt that the small pagoda and the beast bone were not ordinary objects. Early in the morning, in the vast forest, the air was mixed with wisps of mist. Towering trees stood tall, and the canopy of the trees seemed to cover the sky. Light could only penetrate through the layers of overlapping leaves. A young girl and a young man were shuttling through the forest. Their faces were extremely pale, and their expressions were also quite miserable. We must find Elder He and the others as soon as possible, or else it will be troublesome. The young girl said softly. Profound qi surged under her feet, and she shuttled through the forest quickly, as if she was escaping from something. Despicable Sky Snake sect, I will definitely not let them go. The young man was 16 or 17 years old. He held a long sword in his hand, and as he ran, he cursed. However, his speed was obviously slower than the young girl's, and his strength was clearly inferior. Zhu Shui, you can't escape. Hand over the treasure, and I'll let you go. Suddenly, several figures leaped out in front of them. The one in front was a young man in his 20s with a smile on his face. His slender figure and rather handsome face seemed to be very popular with girls. However, his pair of slender eyes with single eyelids carried a hint of gloominess, causing him to give off a sinister feeling. Swoosh swoosh. Following the appearance of the young man and the others, more than 10 figures leaped out from the surrounding towering trees, and directly surrounded the young man and the young girl. The young man and the young girl's expressions changed, and they immediately stopped in their tracks. The 2 of them stood back to back, and vigilantly looked around in a defensive state. Lu Kuan, if you dare to go against us, my profound talisman sect will definitely not let you go. The young girl had a slender figure, and wore a long dress. Profound qi rippled around her body, and her bright eyes were already surging with a serious expression. Zhu Shui, do you think my Sky Snake sect is afraid of your profound talisman sect? You might be able to scare others with those words, but it's not enough to scare me. The young man called Lu Kuan looked at the young girl and smiled. The corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile, and he said, "I'll ask you again, are you going to hand over the treasure?" Zhu Shui glanced at the surrounding people, and her eyes darkened. Profound chi surged, and she said, "If you want the treasure, I'm afraid you're not strong enough to take it. Then I can only take it myself." Lu Kuan sneered, and then said to a burly man in his 30s, "Third leader, your guess was right. They really did run here. Now, leave the girl to me, and I'll leave the man to you. Let's end this quickly. According to our agreement, the treasure will be handed over to my Sky Snake sect. As for the other things on them, they'll all be yours. Young Master Lu, don't worry. We demon hunters are more familiar with this barbaric beast mountain range than anyone else. I've already said that they won't be able to run away. You can deal with the girl, and leave the man to me. After dealing with these two, we'll deal with the others." The burly man smiled. A leopard head tattoo could be seen on his bare arm, and the aura around him was rippling. It seemed that he wasn't weak at all. "Then let's do it." Lu Kuan nodded. When his voice fell, he looked at Zhu Shui, who was not far away from him, and a cold smile appeared on his face. Profound chi surged beneath his feet, and a palm with a wave of cold profound chi directly slammed towards Zhu Shui. "Junior brother Gua, be careful." Facing the attack of the cold profound chi, Zhu Shui felt the skin all over her body suddenly tighten. Vigilance flashed through her heart like lightning, and her beautiful figure quickly flashed, retreating to the side in a daze. Qi La, a cold-yin energy swept past Zhu Shui's neck. Zhu Shui dodged it by a hair's breadth. Her delicate hand formed a seal, and at the same time, a finger seal was formed and swept towards Lu Kuan's chest. "I woke up at 5 in the morning to catch the flight, and only just got home. That's why I'm only updating now. I'm an hour late. My apologies." Today, little Yu will add a chapter to express his apologies. Brothers and sisters who don't have this book yet, please add it to your bookshelf. Chapter 29. Translator, H2DH2 Mr. Not bad, but you're only at the Xiantian realm, while I've already reached the Nirvana realm. You're still not strong enough to contend against me. Zhu Shui's speed shocked Lu Kuan, but he quickly regained his surprise. He quickly stepped to the side, and at the same time, a fist wrapped in profound energy collided with the incoming finger. The two forces collided, and the two forces of profound energy dissipated at the same time. However, it was clear that Lu Kuan was slightly superior. "You guys hold the line." At the same time, the burly man moved. As his figure swept out, a large saber appeared in his hand, and he directly slashed at the youth. Profound energy surged on the large saber, causing the surrounding space to fluctuate. He was actually also at the Xiantian realm. "Bastard, how dare you attack our profound talisman sect, a mere demon hunter like you. One day, I'll make you regret it." The youth cursed, but he did not dare to be careless. Profound energy surged, and the long sword in his hand turned into a cold light, meeting the burly man's saber light with lightning speed. Immediately, the two of them began to fight fiercely. The young man's realm was the same as the burly man's, but in terms of strength, he relied on an extremely good Xiantian sword technique and his own advantages to be on par with the burly man. What's more, this youth was only 16 or 17 years old, while this burly man was already in his 30s. The difference in talent between the two was obvious, and it wouldn't be long before this youth would be able to deal with the burly man. Not far away, Zhu Shui and Lu Kuan were also fighting, and it was difficult to determine the winner. Although Lu Kuan had a slight advantage, he would not be able to completely suppress Zhu Shui in a short period of time. Attack together, cripple this kid first. After attacking for a long time without success, and even being suppressed more and more, he seemed to be afraid of the youth's identity. The burly man was a little anxious, and immediately shouted to the dozens of people around him. Attack together. Hearing this, the surrounding dozen or so men immediately rushed up with all kinds of weapons. Although they weren't as strong as the burly man, and weren't even at the Xiantian realm, the key was that they had a lot of people, which caused a lot of trouble for the young man. On the other hand, the gazes of the youths who should be following Lu Kun all landed on Lu Kun and Zhu Shui. They did not pay much attention to the burly man and his group. Their eyes even revealed some disdain and contempt for the burly man and his group. It was as if they did not put the burly man and his group in their eyes and disdained to associate with them. At present, they were just using them. Chi la la. Although the young man was besieged, he took the opportunity to kill several men with his sword and even seriously injure a few others. After all, those who had not reached the Xiantian realm were unable to contend with a Xiantian realm cultivator. Chi. However, at the same time, the burly man in the lead finally found an opportunity. The blade light slashed towards the young man as if it was splitting the space. Swift spirit sword technique. The young man's expression changed greatly. The long sword in his hand changed continuously and turned into several sword shadows that twisted towards the blade light. It directly blocked the sharp blade light. Bang! However, the burly man was obviously more experienced in fierce battles than the young man. A fist print appeared in front of the young man's chest. The punch landed, and the young man staggered back a dozen steps. The long sword in his hand fell and he directly spat out a mouthful of blood. Brat, don't think that the name of the profound talisman sect will work in the barbaric beast mountain range. If you are alive, I will naturally be afraid. However, if you are all dead, then who will know that your deaths are related to me? The burly man sneered and his killing intent spread out. As people who made a living in the barbaric beast mountain range, they did not mind killing a few people. The benefits were the most important. The disciples of the profound talisman sect must have a surprising harvest. Without any hesitation, the burly man stomped his feet on the ground and directly slashed at the young man with his blade. The young man staggered. Coupled with his injuries, it was already difficult for him to block the burly man. As the blade fell, his pupils shrank and he could only watch as the blade fell. Bullying the few with your numbers, isn't that a little too unkind? Just as the young man's heart was filled with despair, a shout suddenly sounded out from beside him. His vision blurred and a figure appeared beside him like a ghost. Bang! A low and deep sonic boom was emitted, causing the surrounding space to violently tremble. After which, everyone saw the burly man's body stagger backwards. By the time he stabilized his body, his expression had turned pale. Shock surged within his eyes as he immediately lifted his head and looked over. At this moment, many people's gazes fell on the person who suddenly appeared. Everyone's eyes were immediately filled with astonishment. The person who suddenly appeared was a young man. His body was covered in a thick layer of leaves and was woven with vines. He looked like a savage, but his eyes were clear and bright. His face was handsome and his temperament was not like a savage's. It was really Du Xiaofu. After climbing out of the mysterious cave, Du Xiaofu realized that he was at the bottom of a cliff. His clothes had already been burned to ashes. Du Xiaofu did not bring any clothes with him. In desperation, he could only use the leaves and vines to deal with the situation. Not long after he climbed up the cliff, he saw the fight. Seeing that there were so many people bullying the few, not to mention that he had already reached the Xiantian stage, he could not help but intervene. It's him. The few young men who followed Lu Kun immediately recognized Du Xiaofu. That was the young man who sent one of their fellow disciples flying with a single blow. They did not expect to meet him again. It's you. The young man who had just escaped death looked at Du Xiaofu who had just appeared in front of him and was extremely surprised. He was not far away and had seen Du Xiaofu in action. Where did this wild brat come from? You dare to meddle in the affairs of my white leopard hunting group? The burly man was shocked when he saw that it was actually a wild brat. He let out a deep roar and the profound chi in his body surged and poured into his arms. Both of his hands tightly grasped the large blade and his feet heavily stomped on the ground. With a fierce speed, the wind pressure brought about by his movement blew away the surrounding leaves. Then, he fiercely chopped towards Du Xiaofu with his blade. Gravity chop. This blade was the burly man's signature move. Even Xiantian-level demonic beasts had been killed by this blade. The fierce blade carried a ferocious force, as if it wanted to chop everything into pieces. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows, but his expression was calm as he felt the violent wind pressure coming from the front. Just as the blade was about to land, his body suddenly moved to the side with incomparable agility, and the blade just happened to slash down diagonally, right next to his ear. Crack crack. As the saber fell, the ground was directly split open by the violent force, and a huge crack spread out. A large tree the size of a bucket was also directly split open from the roots. In a short moment, Du Xiaofu tightly clenched his fist. While he dodged the blade, the tip of his foot lightly slid on the ground and like a ghost, he circled behind the burly man. His fist, which contained profound qi, let out 13 strange sounds, as if it was about to explode the surrounding air. Then, it heavily smashed into the burly man's back. Bang! With a muffled sound, the sneer on the burly man's face suddenly froze. Then, shock emerged in his eyes. Blood suddenly spurted out from his mouth, and within the blood were shattered internal organs. You're only at the beginning of the Xiantian realm. How is this possible? How is this possible? Chapter 30. The burly man could sense that his opponent had just stepped into the innate realm. He should have just stepped into the innate realm not too long ago, while he had already reached the profound realm. However, the power of that punch was enough to destroy all the life in his body. Before he could finish his sentence, his sturdy body had already collapsed to the ground. The third captain is dead. Run! When the surrounding burly men saw that the third captain, who was at the innate realm, had actually been killed, they all looked at each other in shock. They were all veterans in the Savage Beast Mountain range. Immediately, they fled in panic. Even the third captain was not a match for her, so they knew that their lives were more important. Swift Serpent Art. In the space to the side, Lu Kuan saw the sudden change from the corner of his eyes. He could no longer remain calm. His brows slightly furrowed as his hand seals suddenly changed. Immediately, a cold profound energy revolved in front of him. Faintly, there seemed to be runes filling his eyes. In the end, it transformed into a black snake the size of an infant's arm. As if it was alive, it directly bit towards Zhu Shui. Even the surrounding air seemed to be torn apart. Soul Symbol Transformation, Kill. Zhu Shui was originally getting more and more tired. Suddenly, a bright light shot out from her eyes. Strange hand seals condensed one after another, and an abnormal fluctuation began to violently surge around her body. On the surface of her body, strange runes spread out from her profound energy. In the end, they condensed into a living goshawk. Gee! The goshawk cried out sternly. It spread its wings, which were several meters wide, and pounced towards the black snake figure with a small storm-like energy storm. Its sharp claws grabbed the black snake figure's vital spot and tore it into pieces. However, the goshawk was unable to endure any longer. It turned into small runes and shattered in the air. Soul Symbol Master. You're actually a Soul Symbol Master. Lu Kuan looked at Zhu Shui in shock. From his shocked expression, it was enough to prove that the 3 words Soul Symbol Master were extraordinary. He turned around and looked at Du Xiaofu, who was wrapped in leaves and vines. Then, he looked at Zhu Shui and unwillingly said to the remaining youths, "Let's go." Whoosh whoosh. Following Lu Kuan's words, the youths' gazes slightly changed. Immediately, they followed Lu Kuan and quickly left. Thank you for saving my life. My name is Guoming, a disciple of the Profound Talisman sect. Since you saved my life, I owe you a great favor." The young man who was saved by Du Xiaofu picked up the long sword that had fallen on the ground. He then went to Du Xiaofu's side to express his gratitude. "So you are from the Profound Talisman sect." Du Xiaofu had also heard of the Profound Talisman sect. It was said that it was a force as terrifying as the Sky Snake sect and the Profound Underworld sect. Every disciple was extremely powerful. It was no wonder that this young man, who was about the same age as him, had already broken through to the Xiantian realm. That burly man just now was still at the Xiantian realm, but this Guoming was able to rely on his Xiantian realm cultivation base to contend with him without falling into a disadvantageous position. Raising his head to look at Guoming, Du Xiaofu suddenly thought of something and said, "Do you have extra clothes? Give me a set." "Yes, I brought quite a lot." Guoming was stunned for a moment. Then, he looked at Du Xiaofu's appearance. He seemed to have understood something. So, he nodded and said, "Puchi." Not far away, Zhu Shui stood in the same place and looked at Lu Kuan's departing figure. After confirming that Lu Kuan had left, her complexion suddenly turned pale and a mouthful of dark red blood spurted out from her mouth. "Senior sister, are you all right?" Guoming was frightened and immediately ran to Zhu Shui's side. His complexion was deathly pale. "I'm fine. I just consumed too much energy. We must leave immediately. Otherwise, we will be in trouble if they bring people to chase after us," Zhu Shui said to Guoming. Then, she nodded to Du Xiaofu and revealed a slight smile. She was expressing her gratitude to Du Xiaofu for saving her. Wait. Du Xiaofu wasn't courteous at all. He squatted down beside the burly man and rummaged through his body, taking away all the valuables on his body. He didn't even let go of the few Hotian realm demon hunters that Guoming had killed earlier, causing Guoming and Zhu Shui to look at each other in dismay. After a while, in a valley, Du Xiaofu changed into a brand new blue-purple robe that Guoming had given him. The quality of this robe was much better than the original purple robe. It also made his figure look taller and straighter. From Guoming and Zhu Shui, Du Xiaofu learned that it had been almost a month since the explosion of the golden-winged roc and the purple-flamed demonic phoenix. So, it had been so long since he had awakened and practiced the cultivation method of the golden-winged roc. In addition, from Guoming and Zhu Shui, Du Xiaofu learned that the experts of the Sky Snake sect, the mysterious Underworld sect, and the mysterious Charm sect had gone to search for the golden-winged roc and the purple-flamed demonic phoenix's corpses. However, all of them had gone missing. They did not know what had happened in the distance. After waiting for a long time, they could only carefully inquire about the situation. When they arrived at the scene of the incident, they found that it was a mess. There were no corpses of the golden-winged roc and the purple-flamed demonic phoenix. The elders of the sects had also disappeared. However, someone had inadvertently found some feathers of the golden-winged roc and the purple-flamed demonic phoenix on the ground. This was definitely an extraordinary treasure. Therefore, it caused a great struggle. The disciples of the three sects fought a great battle. Many people were killed or injured. Then, they scattered. Later, more and more Yao hunters and adventurers appeared in the surroundings. Zhu Shui and Guoming discovered at the Sky Snake sect's Lu Kuan and the others had joined forces with a group called the White Leopard Hunting Group. They wanted to snatch the feathers of the purple-flamed demonic phoenix from them. The two of them ran all the way until they encountered Du Xiaofu. When Du Xiaofu heard the two's words, he had a general understanding of the situation. However, he naturally would not tell Zhu Shui and Guoming that the experts of their sects had already been torn to pieces by the three Yao Beast Kings. As for the white-haired old man, he had been chased by the Yao Beast Kings from the beginning and had most likely met with misfortune. Du Xiaofu did not intend to hide this information from Zhu Shui and Guoming. However, it was related to the golden-winged roc and the purple-flamed demonic phoenix. It was better to keep it a secret in case he was implicated in some unexpected disaster. Du Xiaofu was not stupid. If someone knew that he had practiced the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock, there would be endless trouble. At the very least, he would definitely be used as a test subject. At the very least, he would not be able to keep his life. I still don't know your name and which sect you are from. Thank you for your help this time. Zhu Shui's clear eyes stared at Du Xiaofu with a slight smile. She was wearing a light green robe. Her oval face was beautiful and elegant. Du Xiaofu, no sect. Du Xiaofu looked at Zhu Shui and smiled. No sect. Zhu Shui and Guoming did not seem to believe it. They had seen that there was an expert behind this young man. Even the Sky Snake sect's elder Copper Snake did not dare to act rashly. They thought that Du Xiaofu had some secret and did not intend to reveal his sect. Zhu Shui did not ask further. She smiled and said, "What plans do you have?" Du Xiaofu said, "I plan to leave the barbaric Beast Mountain Range and go to Stone City." Zhu Shui frowned and said, "From our current position to Stone City, with our speed, we may not be able to leave in half a month. Junior brother Guoming and I also want to leave the barbaric Beast Mountain Range first. Then, we will find a way to train the sex experts to find our lost junior brothers and sisters. The barbaric Beast Mountain Range is very dangerous now. Why don't we travel together?" This, Du Xiaofu thought for a moment. Zhu Shui and Guoming were both at the Xian Tian realm. Their strength wasn't weak. So, it would be safer to have two more people with them. Although these two people were in some trouble, he had already intervened. So, he nodded and said, "All right, let's go together." 2 updates in a row. Today's update is complete. Chapter 31. That's great. Guoming was overjoyed, and Zhu Shui also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The two of them could see that Du Xiaofu was extremely powerful, so much so that he gave off an unfathomable feeling. A Xiantian mystery-level cultivator was directly killed. If they had this person by their side, they would naturally be much safer. Even Elder He had praised this youth before them. Guoming's injuries were not light, and Zhu Shui had exhausted too much energy. They needed to rest for a while, and were unable to continue on their journey. Therefore, in the evening, Du Xiaofu went out alone to hunt a demonic mountain pangolin pig. He carried it back to the valley and began to roast it. The aroma of meat filled the air, making one drool. Guoming and Zhu Shui, who were recuperating, opened their eyes and secretly swallowed their saliva. "If you're hungry, let's eat together," Du Xiaofu said to the two of them. He did not stand on ceremony, and directly began to eat heartily. Guoming also did not stand on ceremony. He was indeed hungry. Zhu Shui was a little more reserved, but Guoming had already torn off a small pig leg and handed it to her. Her eyebrows knitted together as she took a bite. Immediately, her eyes revealed a look of surprise. In the end, she could no longer care about being reserved. She did not know if it was because she was also hungry, but she felt that this roasted meat was not something that ordinary delicacies could compare to. "It's really too delicious. I've never eaten such delicious roasted meat." Guoming, on the other hand, was endlessly praising as he wolfed down the meat, repeatedly thanking Du Xiaofu. After wolfing down the meat, Guoming and Zhu Shui let out a burp, and continued to recuperate. Du Xiaofu also sat down cross-legged, and began to circulate the cultivation method of the golden-winged great peng. The demonic mountain pangolin pig he had just eaten immediately had traces of essence being absorbed. As a demonic beast, they were able to extract energy from the flesh and blood of their prey for their own use. After cultivating the cultivation method of the golden-winged giant peng bird, Du Xiaofu was now able to do the same. In particular, the cultivation method of the golden-winged giant peng bird was not ordinary. As one of the top demonic beasts, its cultivation method was even more terrifying and abnormal. However, a demonic mountain pangolin pig, and a roasted one at that, did not provide much energy. In the cultivation method of the golden-winged great peng, they ate the flesh of other demonic beasts to extract and refine the energy for their own use. The energy contained in the bloody flesh was the densest and purest. However, as a human, Du Xiaofu was unable to eat raw demonic beast meat. But now that he was able to extract energy from food for his own use, this was already very frightening. Du Xiaofu pondered, if he swallowed a high-level demonic beast, even if it was roasted, he would be able to obtain a huge amount of energy. At that time, the speed of his progress would definitely be faster. Having already cultivated the cultivation method of the golden-winged greatpeng, Du Xiaofu planned to carefully cultivate and strengthen himself according to the cultivation method of the golden-winged greatpeng, including the body transformation method. One had to know that the body of the golden-winged greatpeng was extremely tyrannical. It was rumored that the golden-winged greatpeng was a peak existence in the clan of the golden-winged greatpeng. That kind of terrifying true peng usually ate the legendary dragons as food. Eating dragons as food, one could see how strong the body of the golden-winged great peng was. Otherwise, how could it eat dragons as food? The next day, the sky was slightly bright. Du Xiaofu, Guoming, and Zhu Shui left the valley and continued on their journey. After taking a lot of medicinal pills, Guoming's injuries seemed to be recovering very quickly. There were not many problems with his injuries. This made Du Xiaofu sigh inwardly. As expected of a disciple of a big sect, his foundation was very strong. Du Xiaofu had seen with his own eyes that the medicinal pills Guoming had taken were all very valuable. The younger generation of the Du family simply couldn't compare. It was no wonder that everyone hoped that he could join those big sections. The difference in cultivation resources was really too big. Of course, Du Xiaofu also knew that Guoming's age was about the same as his. At this age, Guoming's cultivation had already reached the Xiantian realm. The younger generation of the Du family simply could not compare with him. Even if it was himself, if not for the recent miraculous opportunity that allowed him to step into the Xiantian realm, it would be difficult for him to compare with Guoming. Early in the morning, the barbaric beast mountain range was quiet. The three of them were very careful along the way. 3 pairs of eyes vigilantly swept through the surrounding dense forest. Guoming's hand tightly grasped the long sword at his waist, ready to deal with any unexpected situation at any time. Du Xiaofu, who was originally a rookie, had recently become much more experienced. Especially during the period of training with the plain-clothed beautiful woman, he had benefited a lot. Du Xiaofu's every move in the dense forest made Zhu Shui and Guoming secretly express surprise. They could see that the youth in front of them was much more experienced than them. Therefore, in the end, the two of them, intentionally or unintentionally, regarded Du Xiaofu as the center of the three of them. Zhu Shui looked weak as she shuttled through the valley and the dense forest. Coupled with her seemingly delicate face, she looked quite lovable. However, her speed was even faster than Guoming's. Among the three of them, she, who looked weak, was the one with the highest cultivation. After all, the barbaric beast mountain range was the barbaric beast mountain range. Even though they were at the edge of the mountain range, it was still full of danger. The three of them were very careful, but they still encountered the attack of demonic beasts. The three of them were attacked by a pack of berserk wolf dogs. This was a kind of demonic beast from the wolf clan and the dog clan. A strong adult berserk wolf dog was capable of stepping into the Xiantian realm. Once it moved, it would attack in groups. Its sense of smell and speed were especially sensitive. Even a hunting team would be afraid of encountering a berserk wolf dog. AO. More than 20 berserk wolf dogs, led by a black wolf dog the size of a tiger, directly launched an attack on the three of them. Their roars soared to the sky, revealing their fangs. Attack! Du Xiaofu, Guoming, and Zhu Shui were not weak. They immediately started to attack. After Du Xiaofu killed the 2 berserk wolfhounds, he went straight for the black wolfhound that was leading the pack. AO. However, after exchanging a blow, Du Xiaofu activated his Hadouken and directly forced the black wolf dog to retreat. The black wolf dog seemed to have sensed something. Looking at Du Xiaofu, its fierce and ferocious eyes were filled with fear. Then, it immediately fled. This made Du Xiaofu feel strange. The leading berserk wolf dog was obviously not to be trifled with. It was even stronger than the Xiantian expert from the white leopard hunting group that he had killed yesterday. If he wanted to kill it, he would have to spend a lot of effort. However, he didn't know why the berserk wolf dog had directly fled. Then, they were attacked by two more groups of demonic beasts. After Du Xiaofu attacked, the leading demonic beasts directly revealed fear in their eyes and began to flee. They didn't dare to attack the three of them again. This series of changes made Guoming and Zhu Shui feel that something was wrong. After being surprised, they seemed to want to find out Du Xiaofu's identity from Du Xiaofu's words. Unfortunately, they didn't get any useful information. No wonder Elder, he always told us that there is always someone better than you. Brother Xiaofu, you are really strong. The Vajra python just now was known for its strength. I'm afraid that even Xiantian Nirvana realm experts wouldn't be able to do anything to it. I didn't expect Brother Xiaofu to be able to contend with it directly. In a small mountain stream, Guoming admired Du Xiaofu more and more. Among his peers in the mysterious talisman sect, he was definitely considered extraordinary. Usually, he was arrogant and didn't put ordinary people in his eyes. However, after meeting Du Xiaofu, he had completely widened his horizons. His arrogance had also dissipated a lot. In response to Guoming's words, Du Xiaofu just smiled casually. In his heart, he was still wondering why those monsters would flee in front of him. At night, the three of them continued to find a secluded valley to rest. They also had to eat barbecue. This time, Zhu Shui didn't hold back. She even took the initiative to help Du Xiaofu. Guoming, on the other hand, was drooling at the side. After wolfing down the food, the three of them adjusted their breathing and set off again early in the morning the next day. In the next 3 days, the relationship between the three of them became much more easygoing and closer. From Guoming and Zhu Shui, Du Xiaofu also learned a lot of information. For example, the barbaric beast mountain range was extremely vast. It was connected to several empires. It was said that even the top experts found it difficult to cross the entire barbaric beast mountain range. Behind every empire, there were some top sections. For example, the mysterious talisman sect had several vassals of empires. Some of the princes and princesses of the empires were cultivating in the mysterious talisman sect. In these 3 days, the three of them encountered many monsters. However, the situation was the same. When they encountered Du Xiaofu, those monsters immediately fled. They simply didn't dare to attack. However, during these 3 days, the three of them did encounter some demon hunters. None of them were from the white leopard demon hunting group. Those demon hunters also had extraordinary eyesight. The three young men and women were extraordinary. Since they dared to come to the barbaric beast mountain range, they either had amazing abilities or were brought here by experts to temper themselves. Naturally, they wouldn't provoke them. They just brushed past each other and didn't interact with each other. 3 days later, in the evening, the three of them were looking for a place to stay. Suddenly, 9 figures appeared in front of them. The one in the lead wore a loose robe. He seemed to be 18 or 19 years old. He had a tall figure and an extraordinary bearing. Senior brother Chen Yan. Zhu Shui and Guoming were stunned when they saw these people, and then they revealed expressions of joy. These 9 people were the members of the same sect that they'd been separated from all those years ago. The person in the lead, Chen Yan, was precisely the leading figure amongst the disciples of the same sect that had come out this time. Senior sister Zhu Shui, senior brother Guoming. When the disciples of the mysterious talisman sect saw Zhu Shui and Guoming, they immediately surrounded them happily. However, the leader, Chen Yan, kept his gaze on Du Xiaofu. Naturally, He still remembered that Du Xiaofu had attacked a disciple of the Sky Snake sect. "Senior brother Chen Yan, why are you here?" Chapter 32. We met along the way and guessed that you guys would leave Savage Beast Mountain Range first, so we headed towards the exit. I never expected that we would actually meet you guys here. After Chen Yan finished speaking to Guoming, his gaze turned towards Du Xiaofu and said, "Junior brother Guoming, this is?" I forgot to introduce him. Guoming smiled and immediately said to Chen Yan, "This is brother Du Xiaofu. If not for brother Xiaofu saving us along the way, senior sister Zhu Shui and I would have been in trouble." Subsequently, Guoming told everyone about the Sky Serpent sect's Lu Kun and the White Leopard hunting group, causing a few profound Talisman sect disciples to gnash their teeth in anger. They vowed that they would properly deal with the Sky Serpent sect and the White Leopard hunting group. When Chen Yan heard that Du Xiaofu had killed a Xiantian stage mysterious level cultivator, he could not help but take another look at Du Xiaofu. "Brother Xiaofu, we are even safer now. Come with us and leave Savage Beast Mountain Range first." Guoming happily said to Du Xiaofu. Being able to meet a fellow disciple from the same sect was naturally safer. "Junior brother Guoming, I think that you and junior sister Zhu Shui do not need to trouble brother Du anymore. I'm afraid that brother Du has other matters to attend to, so let's not delay him any longer." Just as Guoming's words faded, Chen Yan smiled and looked towards Du Xiaofu. "Brother Du, thank you for taking care of junior brother Guoming and junior sister Zhu Shui. If there is a chance in the future, I will naturally thank you. Let's part ways now and not trouble brother Du any longer." Zhu Shui's and Guoming's expressions greatly changed upon hearing this. Haha! How could Du Xiaofu not know that Chen Yan clearly did not want him to follow them, and was clearly getting rid of him after he had outlived his usefulness? He looked at Chen Yan and smiled, "Since you guys have met from the same sect, let's part ways here. Brother Xiaofu, it's not appropriate for you to be alone. Why don't you come with us?" Zhu Shui stepped forward and said to Du Xiaofu. She was well aware of the dangers in the barbaric Beast Mountain Range, and it was indeed inappropriate for him to be alone. Moreover, she also knew that Du Xiaofu had offended the White Leopard hunting group and the Sky Snake sect for her and Guoming's sake. It would be even more troublesome if he were to encounter those people. "Brother Xiaofu, how about we go together? I don't feel at ease leaving you alone." Guoming also tried to persuade Du Xiaofu to stay. Du Xiaofu's unhappiness dissipated as the two of them urged him to stay. He smiled and said, "It's fine. Be careful. We'll meet again." As soon as he finished speaking, Du Xiaofu turned around and left. Since there were people that didn't want him to stay, Du Xiaofu wasn't a person that forced others to stay. Not to mention Du Xiaofu really didn't like having too many people, so he'd originally intended to leave when he saw Zhu Shui, Guoming, and his fellow disciples. Junior sister Zhu Shui, junior brother Guoming, brother Du probably has something else to do. Let's not force him. Chen Yan's gaze revealed slight bewilderment when he saw Du Xiaofu's departing figure. He originally thought that he would have to spend some effort to persuade Du Xiaofu to leave, yet he never expected that Du Xiaofu would be extremely sensible. "Senior brother, if it wasn't for brother Xiaofu saving us, we would probably be doomed." Zhu Shui raised her bright eyes to look at Chen Yan, and there was slight displeasure in her gaze. She knew that Chen Yan wanted to leave Du Xiaofu on purpose, and how could she be unable to discern the meaning behind his words? As he gazed at Zhu Shui's gaze, Chen Yan's gaze darkened slightly, and then he said, "Junior sister, we'll give him some compensation if we have the chance in the future. But he's an outsider in the end, and it isn't safe for us to allow him to follow us. But, junior sister, the hearts of men are sinister. You have to be careful. I'll take good care of you with me here." Zhu Shui still wanted to say something, yet she was interrupted by Chen Yan, and he said, "Junior sister, there's a reason why I asked Du Xiaofu to leave. We noticed a place ahead that's recently filled with spirit energy, and rays of light would appear at night. It's very likely that a spirit herb of extremely high quality has matured there. It isn't good for an outsider to follow us at this moment. I think junior sister is able to understand me, and I'm doing this for the sake of all our brothers. The expressions of Zhu Shui and Guoming changed slightly, and they seemed to be unable to find the words to refute Chen Yan. In the end, they could only keep silent. At dusk, the glow of the setting sun dyed half the sky fiery red. Beneath the setting sun, the line of sight within the dense forest gradually grew dimmer and dimmer. After Du Xiaofu left Zhu Shui and Guoming, he intended to find a place to rest for the night before continuing his journey back to Stone City the next morning. He reckoned that the beautiful woman in plain clothes wasn't within barbaric beast mountain range after so long had passed, and his drunkard father was probably worried about him as well. As for the Du clan, Du Xiaofu sighed to himself. If it was in the past, then not to mention a month, even if he didn't make an appearance for half a year, there would probably be someone who would notice him. At night, the clear and cold moonlight slowly sprinkled down from the horizon, and it covered the entire mountain range in a layer of light and gentle veil. Low and deep muffled sounds resounded from within a gorge. A young man that only wore tight shorts that revealed a thin yet extraordinarily firm chest and tall shoulders could be seen. His entire body was suffused with a light golden glow, and there were faint talisman markings flowing on his skin. After that, he seemed as if he'd fallen ill, and he ceaselessly smashed himself against the stone wall. Bang, bang, bang. The young man used his arms, elbows, back, chest, knees, shoulders, and every inch of his skin to continuously smash himself against the stone wall. Every time he smashed himself against it, the stone wall would tremble and crack, and a lot of broken rocks would fall down. After a full 4 hours of this, the young man's entire body was covered in bruises. Only then did he stop. He withdrew his hand seals, and the faint golden glow around his body receded. The faint talisman markings also gradually disappeared into his skin. The cultivation method of the golden-winged rock is simply self-torture. After spitting out a mouthful of turbid air, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but sigh. Just now, he was constantly smashing himself without being able to use his profound qi. This was one of the body cultivation methods of the golden-winged rock. When the golden-winged rock was a cub, it would consume spiritual medicine to strengthen its body, and then it would self-torture itself by smashing itself against its entire body in order to achieve the goal of relaxing its meridians. Finally, it would allow its body to absorb the spiritual medicine best. When human warriors cultivated and consumed spiritual medicine, they would convert the power of the spiritual medicine into profound qi and absorb it into their divine watchtower to strive for a breakthrough. Many demonic beasts consumed spiritual medicine and heavenly treasures to absorb the power of the spiritual medicine and convert it into profound qi to break through. However, the golden-winged rock absorbed the power of the spiritual medicine into its body, strengthening its body to a terrifying extent. The body cultivation method of the golden-winged rock was divided into 3 levels. The first level was to refine its golden feathers, the second level was to cleanse its bones and marrow, and the third level was to refine its divine body. If it could cultivate the third level to refine its divine body, the golden-winged rock would become one of the most terrifying demonic beasts in the world. Du Xiaofu wasn't a demonic beast, but after cultivating the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock, Du Xiaofu knew that he could cultivate this body cultivation method. He didn't have golden rock feathers, but he had flesh and skin, which could strengthen his body's defense. As for the second level of cleansing his bones and marrow and refining his divine body, it was even easier to understand. In the experiment just now, Du Xiaofu also proved that he could cultivate the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock clan. The spiritual medicine he had consumed came from the Xiantian realm burly man of the white leopard hunting group. After consuming the spiritual medicine, Du Xiaofu practiced the body cultivation method in a masochistic manner. Although his entire body was in pain, as if his bones were about to fall apart, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel the medicinal power of the spiritual medicine spreading through his skin and flesh. The medicinal power of the spiritual medicine that he had consumed was not converted into profound qi and absorbed into his divine watchtower. Instead, it was distributed throughout his skin and flesh. The masochistic impact just now allowed his skin and flesh to absorb the medicinal power evenly and effectively. If someone's body could be as powerful and terrifying as the golden-winged roc, Du Xiaofu would look forward to it. Just the cultivation just now was enough to make Du Xiaofu feel that his body had become stronger again, even stronger than before. It seems like I have to find more spiritual medicine to consume in the future. Du Xiaofu thought to himself. Immediately after, he put on his clothes and packed his things. His figure was like a ghost as he left the canyon under the moonlight. It was early autumn, and the leaves of the dense forest were beginning to turn yellow. Occasionally, there would be fallen leaves falling. Under the sunlight that shone through the layers of leaves, the fallen leaves appeared even more golden, and were very beautiful. Kacha, Kacha, the 5 burly men walked through the dense forest. Their feet stepped on the dried branches, producing Kacha Kacha sounds. I never thought that the 3rd captain would be killed. He dared to kill a member of our white leopard hunting group. That guy must be tired of living. Some people said that the person who killed the 3rd captain was a young man who was still wet behind the ears. That's not very likely. That young man probably has some background. In short, we just have to find that guy who is courting death, and then inform the 2nd and 3rd captains to deal with them. Du Xiaofu's body was curled up in the bushes, and his brows were slightly wrinkled. It seemed that after killing the so-called 3rd captain of the White Leopard hunting group, the members of the White Leopard hunting group did not intend to let him go. In the surrounding mountains, there were members of the White Leopard hunting group looking for him everywhere. Since that's the case, I have to strike first to gain the upper hand. I wonder if these guys have any spiritual medicine. In the bushes, Du Xiaofu's pupils shrank. Through the bushes, he looked at the 5 burly men who were passing by, and his face suddenly became gloomy. This time, it said that someone really got a treasure in the barbaric beast mountain range. If only I could get it. A while ago, during the beast tide, many corpses of demonic beasts were obtained. Luckily, our white leopard hunting group came in early, so we didn't suffer any losses. After we sell those demonic beast materials, we can be considered to have made a fortune. The 5 burly men walked slowly, but subconsciously, they formed a defensive circle to guard against any sudden attacks. This proved that the 5 of them were demon hunters with rich experience in the barbaric beast mountain range. Chapter 33. In the face of certain dangers, a wealth of experience was sometimes more important than strength. Du Xiaofu originally didn't have any experience, but recently, he gained a lot of experience. This made Du Xiaofu feel grateful to that beautiful woman. He wondered if that beautiful woman was still in the barbaric beast mountain range. There are demonic beasts chasing after us, run quickly. With a trace of a smile on his face, Du Xiaofu rushed out from the shrubbery. His expression was flustered, and his speed was extremely fast as he rushed toward the white leopard hunting group. Demonic beast. When the 5 white leopard hunting group members heard someone shouting about a demonic beast behind them, they subconsciously turned around vigilantly. They were in a completely defensive state as they stared at the youth who was running toward them in a panic. One of them shouted, "Kid, where are the demonic beasts?" "Behind, there are demonic beasts behind us." Du Xiaofu ran toward the 5 people in a panic with a flustered expression on his face. "Where are the demonic beasts behind us?" Before the burly man in front could finish his sentence, Du Xiaofu had already arrived in front of him. A cold light flashed from his hand and swept across the burly man's throat with lightning speed. The burly man's words were completely frozen in his throat. After quickly finishing off a demon hunter, Du Xiaofu's flustered face revealed a cold smile. With a backhand stroke, a cold light landed on the chest of the 2nd demon hunter. His left fist, wrapped in profound energy, carried a strange fluctuation and instantly landed on the chest of the 3rd demon hunter. Bang, bang, bang. With a low muffled sound, the third demon hunter was sent flying with a punch. The second demon hunter also fell to the ground with a sharp dagger in his chest. Dark red blood spurted out like a fountain. The dagger came from the White Leopard hunting group member who died yesterday. Du Xiaofu dealt with the three demon hunters in a flash, as if he had rehearsed it. His speed was so fast that no one could react. Who are you? You are the one who killed the third captain. In a short period of time, the remaining two demon hunters from the White Leopard hunting group finally regained their senses. Bang! But it was too late. With a muffled thud, one of the men was sent flying, blood spurting from his mouth. Du Xiaofu came to the side of the last burly man. With a fierce look on his resolute face, he asked in a deep voice, "How many people are there in the White Leopard hunting group? How many Greater Heaven stage cultivators are there? What's the cultivation base of your second-year captain and first captain?" "We, the White Leopard hunting group, have a total of over 100 people. 5 of them are at the innate realm. The second captain is at the Nirvana realm while the great captain is at the perfected innate realm. If you dare to kill people from the White Leopard hunting group, you will definitely not be able to walk out of the Savage Beast mountain range alive." The burly man looked at Du Xiaofu, his body trembling slightly. His words gave him some courage. At the same time, his right hand pulled out a whistle from his bosom and placed it in his mouth. Immediately, a sharp sound rang out. "I'm just waiting for you to inform your companions." Du Xiaofu smirked as he pounced forward. With surging celestial qi, his fist landed on the burly man's chest once again. The burly man clearly saw the fist landing, but he was powerless to dodge. As the fist landed, he could hear the cracking sound of his ribs breaking. Then, his internal organs were also shattered. In the end, his vitality began to crack and disappear. After killing the last demon hunter from the White Leopard hunting group, Du Xiaofu quickly searched through the 5 of them. Unfortunately, he did not find the spiritual medicine that he was looking for. He could not help but feel a little disappointed. Any spiritual medicine was expensive. The 5 of them were not strong, and their positions in the White Leopard hunting group were not high either. He was afraid that the spiritual medicine that he found in the Savage Beast mountain range would not fall into their hands. After putting away some of the scattered items on the 5 of them, Du Xiaofu lifted his head and looked at the surrounding depths of the dense forest. From afar, there were figures that began to rush over. From the last burly man who died, Du Xiaofu found out that the White Leopard hunting group had a total of 5 innate realm members. He had killed one, so there were still 4 of them left. The second captain was at the Nirvana realm while the first captain was at the complete innate realm. If he was surrounded, the consequences would not be good. White Leopard hunting group. Du Xiaofu muttered softly. With a cold smile on his face, he turned around and left quickly. Hundreds of people from the White Leopard hunting group wanted to search for him. Du Xiaofu had no choice but to think of a way to escape. Only by attracting the attention of the surrounding people could he conveniently escape. This was also considered as a form of diversion. When many figures appeared at the scene of Du Xiaofu's attack, Du Xiaofu had already disappeared with the help of the bushes. "Second captain, our men have been killed." After a while, over 30 figures looked at a fat burly man respectfully. The fat burly man's face was gloomy. He squatted next to the 5 corpses and examined them. His face was getting gloomier and gloomier as he said, "The attacker is at the innate realm. He died the same way as the third captain. It was done by that kid. That kid is nearby. Go after him. We must tear that kid into pieces." In the evening, another 5 corpses were lying in the dense forest. The surroundings were not too messy. It was obvious that the attacker had killed the 5 people in an extremely short period of time. "Bastard! Go and find him. We must find that kid." The fat burly man was almost roaring. His face was extremely gloomy and his eyes were filled with killing intent. At dusk, the sky was slightly dark. There was a bloody killing aura in the dense forest that filled the air. Bastard! Spread the news that the kid stole our white leopard hunting group's animal-grade martial skill. I want that kid to have nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. The fat burly man roared ferociously next to the corpses of the hunters from the white leopard hunting group. In the next few days, a shocking news spread rapidly in the surrounding mountains. A young man had stolen the white leopard hunting group's animal-grade martial skill. Many of the hunters from the white leopard hunting group had died in his hands. The young man appeared and disappeared like a shadow. Everyone in the white leopard hunting group was in a state of panic. I wonder who that young man is. How dare he attack the white leopard hunting group? Fatty Long and Shohu from the white leopard hunting group are not to be trifled with. How can a young man be stronger than them? I heard that the young man is at the innate realm. He must be the successor of a big sect. Otherwise, I'm afraid he wouldn't dare to attack the white leopard hunting group. Anyway, the white leopard hunting group has lost a lot of face this time. If we meet that young man, we might be able to fight him. After all, an animal-grade martial skill is also very shocking. I heard that Shohu has already gone to the Earth Spirit Gorge. Rumor has it that the spirit chi there is very dense. It seems like there are high-grade spirit herbs that are about to mature. High-grade spirit herbs are very valuable. Let's go take a look. We might have a chance to get it. In the surrounding mountains, there were small groups chatting from time to time. Most of the topics were about the mysterious young man and the white leopard hunting group. High-grade spirit herbs. In the hidden dense forest, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared. His eyes lit up. The Golden Rock's body refinement method required him to use a lot of spirit herbs. The higher the grade of the spirit herbs, the better the effect. That's quite sinister. Du Xiaofu frowned. The white leopard hunting group had spread the news that he had stolen an animal-grade martial skill. An animal-grade martial skill was able to activate one's martial veins. It was a martial skill of the pulsation realm. The value of an animal-grade martial skill was shocking. It was enough to make all the hunters and adventurers in the surrounding area want to kill him. After a few breaths of time, Du Xiaofu's figure disappeared again. The setting sun shone on the mountain range, and the red clouds dyed half of the sky red. That kid is in front. Go after him. That kid has an animal-grade martial skill. Don't let him get away. In the quiet dusk at the edge of the barbaric beast mountain range, there were suddenly shouts and sounds of pursuit that echoed in the depths of the dense forest. What a sinister guy. In front of the crowd, Du Xiaofu quickly fled while cursing in a low voice. He fiercely spat a mouthful of saliva into the nearby bushes. His brows were slightly furrowed as his expression turned serious. He did not expect that after killing a few more members of the white leopard hunting group not long ago, he would be discovered by the surrounding people. In the end, he was finally chased after. Kid, where do you think you're going? You're going to die today. A fat middle-aged man with a bloated body was shockingly fast. He had a sneer on his face as he chased after Jiang Chen and shouted at the top of his lungs. The crowd behind him shouted in unison, and the sounds of pursuit instantly spread throughout the mountain range. Du Xiaofu didn't dare to stay any longer. It was definitely not a good thing to be surrounded. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. The fat man squinted his eyes and looked at the young man's figure that was running away. His expression turned gloomy as if he didn't expect the young man to be so fast. Let's see where you can run to now. Dragon steps. With a low shout, the profound energy around the fat man's body surged, and profound energy gushed out from the soles of his feet. Then, his fat body seemed to be assisted by the gods, and his speed increased dramatically. He quickly chased after Du Xiaofu, and the distance between them grew closer and closer. Agility martial skill. Feeling the sound of wind breaking behind him, Du Xiaofu hastily turned around. He was quite surprised in his heart. The fat man had obviously used an agility martial skill to increase his speed dramatically. There was a faint golden light overflowing from his body. Du Xiaofu's speed also increased a lot because of it. He kept his distance and looked at the mountain range in front of him as he fled. The two people chased after each other. Behind them, many shouts of pursuit resounded throughout the mountain range. However, no one was faster than the fat middle-aged man. After a while, only the fat middle-aged man was closely following behind Du Xiaofu. "Kid, you can't escape today." Half an hour later, the fat middle-aged man was getting closer and closer to Du Xiaofu. A sinister killing intent surged on his fierce-looking face. He waved his hand and a profound qi surged in his palm. It turned into a strong wind like a waterfall and shot directly at Du Xiaofu's back. Feeling the strong wind attack behind him, Du Xiaofu turned around. A profound qi surged out of his right hand like a wave and directly collided with the profound qi waterfall. Today's 3 chapters are all more than 3,000 words. During the new book period, little you will also compete with each other to update more. I have to patiently remind you that if you don't have a collection, please add this book to your collection account. Only when you have a high collection can it be put on the shelves. Chapter 34. Bang! The collision of the two profound energies caused the air to tremble. A layer of the surrounding soil was forcibly scraped away by the violent wind, causing dust to fly and gravel to shoot out. Initial innate realm. The fat middle-aged man sneered with a gloomy expression. From the young man's attack, he knew that the young man was only at the initial level of the innate realm. Although they were all at the same level of the innate realm, there was a huge difference between each level of the initial innate realm, mysterious realm, nirvana realm, and complete realm. He was at the nirvana realm of the innate realm, so he could easily kill a warrior at the initial level of the innate realm. The gap between the levels was an insurmountable gap. Fat Dragon of the White Leopard hunting group from the nirvana realm of the innate realm. Du Xiaofu looked at the fat middle-aged man in front of him. His eyes twitched slightly, but there wasn't much fluctuation in his expression. Over the past few days, Du Xiaofu had obtained a lot of information about the White Leopard hunting group from the demon hunters he had killed. Thus, he had a rough idea of the other party's identity after exchanging blows. "Kid, you got it right. You can die in peace." Fat Dragon shouted coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. He had finally caught up with the kid in front of him, so how could he let him go? He sneered and stomped his foot on the ground. A wave of qi fluctuated, but his fat body was surprisingly agile. He pounced on Du Xiaofu and kicked at Du Xiaofu's chest like lightning. Big Dipper kick. Above the footprint, qi surged, and the fierce wind seemed to kick through the space. In an instant it was in front of Du Xiaofu's chest. Du Xiaofu's resolute face moved slightly, and he didn't have the slightest intention of dodging. His hand seals quickly condensed, and waves of profound energy instantly surged out, causing the surrounding space to ripple like boiling water. The imposing aura on his body instantly became fierce and shocking, like a fierce beast that had awakened from its slumber, and its might was shocking. Stormy waves palm. A thunderous sound suddenly came out. Du Xiaofu condensed a palm print, and waves of visible waves spread out. Then, they quickly collided with the incoming foot. Waves of stormy waves kept colliding with the foot. Boom! Fat Dragon's body directly shook, and his meatball-like body rotated 360 degrees in the air. His feet were bent, and when he landed on the ground, he could not help but take a few steps back before he could stabilize his body. Du Xiaofu editor, Storm Waves Palm, he was, even though he was at the innate realm of the innate realm, but he did not gain the upper hand. The Stormy Waves Palm was at the level of the innate realm. Was when he was at the nirvana realm of the innate realm. Nirvana realm of the innate realm of the innate nirvana realm of the realm of nirvana realm of the innate realm of the nigh of the realm of the innate, you do have some strength. No wonder you could kill third brother. When Fat Dragon looked at Du Xiaofu again, there was a hint of shock in his slightly squinted eyes. He, who was at the innate realm of the nirvana realm, did not gain the upper hand against that kid. After the shock, his murderous intent became even stronger. He did not hide the murderous intent in his slightly squinted eyes. He sneered and said, "Kid, even if you have some strength, you are still dead in front of me. It is your honor to die in the hands of my exploding Xian fist." As his voice fell, the Xian Qi around Fat Dragon's body began to emit a blazing aura, causing the temperature of the surrounding space to rise rapidly. It was as though the entire space was about to catch fire. As his hand seal was formed, a layer of flame-like cuticle quickly covered his fist. Faintly, there were flame runes leaping about on it. Exploding Xian fist, go. When the fist print was completely condensed, Fat Dragon's face became ferocious again. The fist print was like a fireball, and it appeared in front of Du Xiaofu at lightning speed. It smashed down fiercely. He attacked with all his strength and did not want to waste any time. In Fat Dragon's eyes, it was as if he had already seen the kid in front of him become a corpse. The exploding Xian fist was a martial technique at the complete innate realm. It was almost comparable to a mobile-grade martial technique. It was also his strongest attack. In the Savage Beast Mountain Range, many innate realm demonic beasts and warriors with the same cultivation had been killed by his exploding Xian fist. A strong innate realm martial technique. At this critical moment, Du Xiaofu suddenly smiled. He condensed the same hand print as before. With his body as the center, a terrifying airwave suddenly fluctuated. The energy of heaven and earth in the surrounding space continuously poured into him. There seemed to be light runes surging around him. A terrifying aura was like a suppressed volcano that was about to erupt. Channeling martial veins, pulse realm. Seeing the light runes and terrifying aura that suddenly appeared on Du Xiaofu's body, Fat Dragon's eyes, which were always narrowed, suddenly shrank. His opponent actually had traces of channeling martial veins. Channeling martial veins could only be done by those at the pulse realm. How could this kid, who had just reached the innate realm, have the ability to channel martial veins? Everything happened too fast. The fist print and the palm print collided in an instant. Stormy Wave's palm. It was the same Stormy Wave's palm, but it had a different power. This time, Du Xiaofu was using the perfected version of the Stormy Wave's palm, and the previous version was just the normal version of the Stormy Wave's palm. Boom! At this moment, as the perfected version of the Stormy Wave's palm was activated, a thunderous explosion was heard. Waves of stormy winds and energy kept colliding with the former's fiery fist. Bang! The muffled sound formed by the collision of profound qi reverberated through the mountain forest. As the muffled sound fell, the sound of bones cracking came from Fat Dragon's fist. His face was instantly filled with pain. Blood spurted out from his mouth, and his fat body fell down. Crack! After falling for more than 10 meters, Fat Dragon's body slammed into a huge rock. The rock immediately cracked and exploded, turning into rubble that shot out in all directions. Oh no, this kid is too strong. Fat Dragon, who had fallen to the ground, struggled to get up quickly. He didn't care about the blood dripping from his mouth. He jumped up and tried to escape. With his experience of crawling and rolling in the Savage Beast Mountain Range, his reaction to escape was absolutely fast. Do you really think you can catch up with me? I'm just waiting for you to catch up. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's figure leaped out like lightning. Just as Fat Dragon was about to escape, his figure swooped down. He opened his arms like a rock spreading its wings and a goshawk hunting for its prey. At this moment, Fat Dragon, who was on the verge of death, seemed to have felt a real rock swooping down. Especially that terrifying aura, it was even more like a real rock. Not only was it similar in shape, but it was also similar in spirit. Boom! His right arm opened and closed like a rock spreading its wings. In the end, he slapped Fat Dragon's body hard and sent him flying for more than 10 meters. After that, he landed on a towering tree. The tree cracked and collapsed. The surrounding ground cracked and a terrifying wind swept out like a storm. Swoosh swoosh. In the mountain range behind, the White Leopard demon hunting group, many demon hunters, and adventurers finally caught up one after another. When they saw the scene in front of them, they couldn't help but gasp. They suddenly stopped and didn't dare to take another step forward. Even Fat Dragon, who was at the innate realm and was at the nirvana realm, fell to the ground. That young man was actually so strong. Bang! Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in front of Fat Dragon, who was on the verge of death. With a punch, he directly finished off Fat Dragon, who no longer had the strength to struggle. His attack was clean and domineering, causing the surrounding figures who were constantly catching up to reveal a shocked expression. The dignified second captain of the White Leopard demon hunting group, Fat Dragon, who was at the innate realm and was at the nirvana realm, was actually killed by the young man in front of them in such a domineering manner. The incessant shouts and sounds of pursuit finally calmed down. The surrounding was silent, and everyone's gaze trembled. Those demon hunters from the White Leopard demon hunting group who were chasing up saw that the second captain, Fat Dragon, was also killed by the young man in a domineering manner. How would they dare to take half a step forward? They couldn't even dodge in time. Du Xiaofu searched Fat Dragon's body for a while and took everything that he could take with him. Come up if you don't want to die. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, he finally looked at the surrounding onlookers. His eyes flickered with coldness, and his gaze was sharp and frightening. What a terrifying gaze. It's like a ferocious beast. Looking at the coldness in Du Xiaofu's eyes, many people couldn't help but take a few steps back. Under the shock of killing Fat Dragon in such a domineering manner, everyone who met his gaze revealed fear in their eyes. They didn't dare to look straight at him. Du Xiaofu glanced at the surroundings again, then turned around and left. No one dared to stop him. Fat Dragon's corpse was the best deterrent. No one present wanted to provoke that terrifying young man. When Du Xiaofu's figure left, his face quickly turned pale. Although he had killed Fat Dragon, Du Xiaofu had also exhausted himself. Especially when he had used all his strength to activate the perfected Stormy Waves palm, he had almost completely absorbed all the profound qi in the God's Watchtower. At that moment, he needed a quiet and safe place to recover his strength. That was close. Du Xiaofu thought to himself. If he hadn't been able to intimidate the group of people from the White Leopard hunting group and the other demon hunters, the consequences would have been severe. After exhausting himself, he didn't have much strength to attack again. Luckily, he had Fat Dragon's corpse as a deterrent. A smile appeared on his face. Killing Fat Dragon was part of Du Xiaofu's plan. Although Fat Dragon had martial arts techniques and the cultivation of the innate realm at the nirvana realm, relying on the speed of the golden-winged rock, Du Xiaofu was cultivating the golden-winged rock's cultivation method. More or less, he could gain the advantage of speed. Fat Dragon wouldn't be able to catch up with him easily. Seeing that Fat Dragon was the only one chasing after him and there were no other experts around, Du Xiaofu decided to kill Fat Dragon while he was running away. The result was similar to what he had imagined. Chapter 35. At night, the wind blew through the forest. Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged in the valley, adjusting his breathing using the golden-winged Great Peng's cultivation method. Faint golden light shrouded his surroundings, an extremely mysterious sight. Earth Spirit Gorge was located at the edge of the Savage Beast mountain range. Layers of gorges overlapped with towering cliffs. Every morning and evening, there would be a thick fog that made it difficult to see. It was said that there were powerful demonic beasts residing within Earth Spirit Gorge all year round. Hence, even demonic hunters did not dare to rashly enter. Recently, quite a number of people had gathered outside Earth Spirit Gorge. However, no one dared to rashly step into the gorge. The night was as cold as water as the bright moon hung high in the sky. Inside Earth Spirit Gorge, a rich spirit chi undulated, causing one's mind to ripple. On a huge rock outside Earth Spirit Gorge, a dozen young men and women stood. They were the disciples of the Profound Symbol sect. Zhu Shui, Guoming, and Chen Yan stood in the middle, gazing at the dozens of figures on a small hill 100 meters away. Zhu Shui's beautiful face darkened slightly as she opened her red lips and said, "The Sky Snake sect's people are also here. Senior brother Chen Yan, several of our junior brothers have been killed by the Sky Snake sect. We must avenge them," Guoming said to Chen Yan. Chen Yan also gazed at the Sky Snake sect group in the distance, his expression darkening slightly. The Sky Snake sect and the White Leopard hunting group are together. We won't be able to gain any advantage if we act now. Chen Yan, you guys have arrived quite early. Several figures walked over. They were all 17 or 18-year-old youths. The one at the front, a well-dressed youth and a short-sleeved youth, were extremely outstanding. They directly leapt onto the giant rock, the well-dressed youth's burning gaze directly landing on Zhu Shui. Lin Buguang, Wang Yuan, you guys have just arrived. Chen Yan immediately stepped forward when he saw this. He saw Lin Buguang's burning gaze land on Zhu Shui. Although there was displeasure in his eyes, he did not reveal any trace of it. The well-dressed youth ignored Chen Yan. Instead, it was the short-sleeved youth who looked at Chen Yan and said, "Chen Yan, according to our agreement, our Profound Xian sect and your Profound Symbol sect will temporarily join forces to deal with the Sky Snake sect's Lu Kuan. However, whoever obtains the spirit herbs in the end will be the Sky Snake sect's editor, no problem." Chen Yan nodded. "May I know this junior sister's name?" "My name is Lin Buguang, may I know you?" The well-dressed young man came to Zhu Shui's side. His eyes were fixed on Zhu Shui's body as if he had seen his prey. Zhu Shui glanced at Lin Buguang. Her bright eyes were filled with an unapproachable coldness as she said, "Please conduct yourself with dignity." After speaking, the slender figure turned around and looked into the canyon, not wanting to pay any more attention to Lin Buguang. "You have personality. I like it. Sooner or later, you will be my woman," Lin Buguang whispered into Zhu Shui's ear. Then, with a hearty laugh, he looked towards the depths of the gorge and said, "It seems like the elixir is about to mature. I wonder who will obtain it in the end. It is said that there are many demonic beasts in this Earth Spirit Gorge. It will not be easy to obtain the elixir. If our Profound Talisman sect and the mysterious Underworld sect join forces, our chances will naturally be much higher," Chen Yan replied. His eyes stared at Lin Buguang's back as a trace of coldness flashed across his eyes. On the hillside, Lu Kuan looked at Chen Yan, Lin Buguang, and the rest on a giant rock in front of him. His expression was somewhat gloomy as he said to a skinny middle-aged man beside him, who was about 2 meters tall, "First Captain, I don't see the brat who killed the second and third captain with them. However, that brat is likely related to the Profound Talisman sect. Someone will definitely pay the price for the deaths of the second and third brothers. I will not let them off regardless of whether that brat is related to the Profound Talisman sect or not." A cold glint flashed across Shou Hu's eyes. The night passed. When the darkness before dawn passed, a ray of morning light poured down from the horizon. Suddenly, a multicolored light soared into the sky from the depths of the gorge. Boom! The multicolored light carried a blood-red glow. It was like the sun rising from the east and did not dissipate for a long time. A rich spiritual energy fluctuation rippled from the depths of the gorge. This is a high-grade spirit herb that has matured. Quickly, snatch it. Almost in an instant, astonishing profound energy fluctuations erupted from outside the canyon. One figure after another leaped out and directly flew into the canyon. The earth-shattering sound of breaking wind resounded unceasingly, forcefully washing away the dense fog in the canyon in the early morning. The spirit herb has matured. Let's go. The profound energy fluctuation around Shen Yan, Lin Buguang, Wang Yuan, Guo Ming, and Zhu Shui's figures were like rainbows as they instantly charged into the gorge. Figures flashed and mist filled the air. Shen Yan, Zhu Shui, Lin Buguang, Wang Yuan, Lu Kuan, and Shou Hu were the fastest. They were the first to charge into the gorge. Their gazes were all fixed on a giant rock within the gorge. Within the crevice of the rock, a blood-red lingji that was about 1 foot tall and as thick as an infant's arm soared into the sky. It was emitting a blood-red glow. The blood-red lingji's shape was peculiar. It looked like an infant and was very lifelike. It was covered in blood-red symbols and emitted a rich spiritual energy fluctuation, causing everyone's gazes to burn. The blood infant lingji can strengthen one's martial veins after consumption. It is the main ingredient for refining spirit-grade elixirs. The blood infant lingji is a supreme treasure for pulsation realm martial artists. The profound underworld sect, profound talisman sect, sky serpent sect and other forces faced each other. After exchanging glances, they unsurprisingly started to fight. The other forces didn't fall behind either. Instantly, the gorge fell into a chaotic battle. Once someone wanted to approach the blood infant lingji, they would immediately be blocked by the others. It was difficult for anyone to approach the blood infant lingji alone. Gee! Suddenly, a hissing sound came from the dense mist in the air. Then, a dozen enormous ferocious birds swooped down. Every ferocious bird was dozens of feet in size. When they spread their wings, they covered the sky. Their sharp claws and beaks emitted a cold light as they suddenly swooped down towards the crowd that was fighting. Instantly, they grabbed many figures in the air and directly tore them apart, causing a bloody mist to spray out. Roar! Then, ferocious beasts roared from the depths of the gorge. Hundreds of demonic beasts charged out in succession. The first few demonic beasts were dozens of feet tall. They had sharp fangs and were abnormally ferocious. They tore at the crowd and many figures were directly torn to pieces. Shit, there are demonic beasts that have designs on the blood infant lingji as well. These demonic beasts are formidable. The crowd that was fighting instantly retreated in panic. The ferocious birds and ferocious beasts in the sky caused them to be terrified. No one had imagined that so many terrifying demonic beasts would suddenly appear. When the numerous ferocious birds and ferocious beasts appeared, they charged out of the dense mist. They were incomparably formidable and were utterly not something the crowd could resist. The demonic beasts roared and hissed. People were ceaselessly being torn apart alive, and shrill cries and wails resounded throughout the gorge. Chen Yan, Zhu Shui, Guo Ming, Lin Buguang, Wang Yuan, Lu Kuan, and the others swiftly retreated. With the appearance of those terrifying demonic beasts and the blood infant lingji before them, they didn't dare move forward. Flee! There were even many people that cried out and fled for their lives. Their strengths were too low and they were utterly unable to resist the assault of the demonic beasts. All of their faces went pale, as no one had imagined that so many ferocious birds and ferocious beasts would suddenly appear. Quickly look, who's that? He's actually not afraid of the demonic beasts. Right at this moment, someone noticed with surprise that there was a young man walking forward with large strides. His body was suffused with a faint golden glow, and his tall figure strode towards the blood infant lingji. Ao. GG. The surrounding ferocious birds and ferocious beasts looked at the young man and hissed and roared. However, they directly retreated in the face of the young man, as if they were afraid of something. It's brother Du Xiaofu. Guo Ming's eyes were filled with surprise, and then a joyful expression appeared on his face. That tall and straight young man was indeed Du Xiaofu. It's him. Zhu Shui, Chen Yan, Lu Kuan, Lin Buguang, Wang Yuan, and the others all recognized Du Xiaofu. Each and every one of them stared at the gorge in shock. Wherever that tall and straight young man passed, the demonic beasts would cower and retreat. Under the shroud of the golden glow, that tall and straight young man was like a supreme being descending, like a king of beasts coming out of the mountains. The one who came was indeed Du Xiaofu. He had heard that the demonic beasts had appeared. Since he was cultivating the golden winged rock's body refinement technique, he needed the demonic beasts to refine his golden feathers. Naturally, he wouldn't miss this opportunity. In fact, Du Xiaofu had arrived at the Earth Spirit Gorge long ago and had seen the people from the Profound Talisman sect and the Sky Snake sect from afar. However, he hadn't shown himself. Secretly seizing the demonic beasts was the most important thing. In the Savage Beast Mountain Range, although Du Xiaofu wasn't too sure why the demonic beasts would actively avoid him, he was clear that he had an absolute advantage in front of the demonic beasts. Ordinary demonic beasts would be intimidated by the aura of the golden winged rock on his body. Therefore, this was the best opportunity. Wrapped in a faint golden glow, Du Xiaofu stepped over everything with incomparable strength. The ferocious birds and ferocious beasts all cowered and retreated. Then, he leapt in front of the blood infant Ganoderma on the rock. The rich demonic beast's aura fluctuated, causing Du Xiaofu's eyes to reveal a joyful expression. This demonic beast was obviously extraordinary. If he consumed it, it would definitely have a huge effect on refining his golden feathers. Roar! Just at this moment, the thick fog in the air broke apart and a gale surged. A huge flying tiger appeared. Its entire body was covered in king-pattern scales and it had a pair of wings. The tiger's mouth was ferocious as it roared. When it spread its wings, it was at least 200 feet in size. It was staring at Du Xiaofu like a tiger eyeing its prey. It was obvious that the blood infant Ganoderma was the demonic beasts that it had set its eyes on. Heavens, a king-scaled demonic tiger. It's enough to become a demonic beast king. Even a pulsating realm martial artist would find it difficult to resist this king-scaled demonic tiger. Such a powerful aura. The surrounding crowd was shocked. The terrifying demonic tiger circled in the air, making it difficult for people to breathe. Its aura was soul-shaking. Du Xiaofu raised his head to look at the huge king-scaled demonic tiger in the air. Suddenly, the golden glow around his body was dazzling. He formed a seal with his hands and mysterious symbol patterns surged around his body. A tyrannical and terrifying aura erupted like a flood. The golden light soared into the sky, and within the golden light, there seemed to be a golden winged rock spreading its wings. At the same time, Du Xiaofu also shouted, "Evil beast, why aren't you leaving yet?" Thank you CMX 3288 Enforcer for tipping 1888 chasing wave coins. Chapter 36. Roar. The king-scaled demonic tiger roared as it glared at Du Xiaofu with fear in its eyes. It glanced at the blood infant Ganoderma unwillingly before it flapped its wings and fled. What a powerful aura! How can he be so powerful? Everyone exclaimed from afar. The king-scaled demonic tiger was actually scared away by the young man's shout. How powerful and domineering was this? It was simply inconceivable. Who exactly was that young man? Du Xiaofu turned around and directly uprooted the blood infant Ganoderma that was emitting a bloody glow. Immediately, the bloody glow vanished and the blood infant Ganoderma fell into Du Xiaofu's hand. Then, he jumped off the rock and directly entered the depths of the canyon without looking back. He had no intention of leaving the canyon at all. Looking at the back of the figure that entered the depths of the canyon and was gradually enveloped by the dense fog, everyone in the distance was shocked to the point of being stunned. The blood infant Ganoderma that everyone was fighting over was actually so easily taken away by that young man. The expressions of Chen Yan, Lin Buguang, Wang Yuan, Lu Kuan and the others were extremely unsightly. They didn't expect such an outcome. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Especially Qin Yen. He was originally afraid that Du Xiaofu of unknown origin would take advantage of the elixir. He didn't expect that the blood infant Ganoderma would actually fall into Du Xiaofu's hands in the end. The blood infant Ganoderma can't be obtained by that young man. Chase after him. Finally, someone couldn't bear watching the treasure slip away and started to chase after Du Xiaofu. When facing Du Xiaofu's domineering and powerful aura, not many people dared to chase after him. However, with more people, more courage. Seeing that someone was chasing after him, the people in the canyon once again jumped out in unison. Roar! Ao ao! The ferocious birds and ferocious beasts moved again. It seemed that they were unwilling to accept that the blood infant Ganoderma had been taken away. They directly vented their anger on the people in the canyon and started a massacre once again. Many people who still wanted to chase after Du Xiaofu were directly torn apart and their bellies were cut open. Blood flowed all over the ground. The stronger ones also suffered unimaginable injuries and were rescued by their companions. In the depths of the canyon, as the morning sun shone, the thick clouds gradually dissipated. Whoosh! Du Xiaofu's silhouette was quickly escaping from the depths of the canyon. Although he was not afraid of ordinary demon beasts, it did not mean that he was not afraid of the treasure hunters outside the canyon. If he took the blood infant Ganoderma out of the canyon, he was afraid that he would be besieged by everyone. It was almost impossible for him to leave safely. Du Xiaofu didn't dare to relax at all as the roars of the beasts behind him were getting further and further away. The further away he was, the safer he would be. Coo! Behind him, a roar resounded as a gigantic red eagle appeared in the air. Its eyes were sharp and ferocious. It flapped its wings and hovered in the air. A blazing aura spread out, and the air currents that it stirred up whistled out like a storm. Raging flame demonic falcon. Du Xiaofu raised his head, and his eyes were instantly filled with vigilance. The gigantic red eagle was a raging flame demonic falcon. Its aura was obviously very strong, and it was not much weaker than the king-scaled demonic tiger that he had encountered not long ago. What made Du Xiaofu most vigilant was that there were several figures standing on the back of the raging flame demonic falcon. They were definitely not weak. Whoosh! The raging flame demonic falcon hovered at a low altitude, and an orange figure jumped down from its back. It was a young lady wearing an orange robe that appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. The blood infant Ganoderma is not something that you can obtain with your strength. Hand it over and you can leave safely. The young lady looked at Du Xiaofu with bright eyes. Her orange-red clothes accentuated her long and slender legs and slim waist, causing her already tall figure to appear even taller and more slender. Her elegant temperament was somewhat cold, and her words seemed to not allow Du Xiaofu to refuse. Du Xiaofu looked at the young lady in front of him. Her aura made Du Xiaofu faintly feel a dangerous aura. It seemed that these people were also in the canyon from the beginning, and their goal was the blood infant Ganoderma. Secretly, his Xian Qi fluctuated in his body. He raised his eyes and looked at the young lady. I hate it when people steal my things, and beautiful women are the same. You want the blood infant Ganoderma? No way. Do you think I'm beautiful? The young lady in the robe smiled slightly. Her beautiful face was blooming, and it was very moving. Not bad. Among all the women I have seen, you are already very beautiful. Du Xiaofu nodded. Without a doubt, this woman was very beautiful and had an extraordinary temperament. Her slender figure was tall and straight like a proud snow lotus. Her background was not ordinary. But at this moment, Du Xiaofu could not help but think of the fairy-like woman that he met back then. The young lady in the robe raised her eyes. Her bright eyes looked at Du Xiaofu, and she was a little surprised. The young man in front of her gave her an indescribable feeling. She had also seen the tyrannical and powerful scene in the Earth Spirit Canyon clearly, and her heart was also extremely cold. Facing her now, this young man looked calm, but there was a deep restraint in him. Compared to his sharpness, she was even more moved. "You seem to have some ability. However, since you are not willing to hand it over, I can only take it myself." The young lady in the robe slowly walked towards Du Xiaofu. Her slender and beautiful legs were like a tease, and her voice was similarly calm. However, as her footsteps approached, the profound energy undulations on her body became faster and faster. When the profound energy undulations reached a certain range, her delicate body suddenly transformed into an orange afterimage and rapidly leapt towards Du Xiaofu. "Since you want to snatch the blood infant Lingji, I will snatch you back and make you my servant." As he watched the delicate figure leaping over, Du Xiaofu also shouted loudly. Instead of retreating, he advanced. The perfected stormy wave's palm directly condensed. Light symbols flickered around his body, and the energy undulations in the air instantly swept towards the young lady in the robe. "You are only at the Xiantian stage, how can you activate your martial veins?" The young lady in the robe was shocked. The aura of the young man in front of her shocked her. The tip of her foot lightly tapped the ground, and her delicate body spun. Her delicate hand lightly patted out a palm, accompanied by flickering symbols. In an instant, it collided with Du Xiaofu's palm. Bang! A muffled sound rang out, and Du Xiaofu's figure was instantly shaken back. He retreated a dozen steps before stabilizing his footing. That light palm contained a terrifying force. Pulsating stage cultivation. Du Xiaofu was shocked. The young lady in the robe in front of him was definitely not at the Xiantian stage. Otherwise, he would not have been at a disadvantage. "You have just reached the Xiantian stage, and yet you have such strength. You are indeed capable." The young lady in the robe's bright eyes also revealed a look of surprise. In an instant, her delicate body once again pounced forward. Borrowing the impact of her movement, her delicate hands changed, and palm after palm, like a fairy scattering flowers, enveloped Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's gaze sank as numerous miraculous hand seals condensed, causing faint golden light and talisman markings to surge around him, and then an overbearing and ferocious aura appeared abruptly. His right arm stretched out like a rock spreading its wings, and it directly slapped towards those palm seals. Walala! Waves of golden light swept out like a storm, shattering the large palm along the way. Xiao! The young lady in the robe's bright eyes once again rippled with surprise. Her graceful and slender body took the opportunity to appear in front of Du Xiaofu. Her delicate hand suddenly waved like a fairy dancing. Waves of fluctuation spread out, and a palm was pressed against Du Xiaofu's chest. Du Xiaofu clearly saw the palm fall, and he rapidly retreated, wanting to avoid it. The young lady in the robe frowned slightly, as if she did not expect the opponent to have such an agile reaction. The palm increased in speed, leaving a palm arc in the air, as if it had penetrated the barrier of the air, and then it was pressed against Du Xiaofu's chest again. At this moment, Du Xiaofu could not avoid it, and a huge force suddenly swept over. Bang! Du Xiaofu's body was shaken back, and his face immediately paled. A trace of sweetness also surged up his throat. "It seems like you can't take me back to be your maid." The young lady in the robe gently landed on the ground, and looked at Du Xiaofu with a smile. She did not have any intention to chase after him, as if she had already determined that he could not escape from her control. Du Xiaofu looked behind him, and kept retreating. Unknowingly, he had already retreated to the edge of a cliff in the canyon. The bottom of the cliff was filled with clouds, and the bottom could not be seen. There was no way to retreat, and the young lady in the robe blocked the way in front of him. Jiu Jiu! The raging flame falcon continued to hover in the air, but there was a hint of fear in its eyes as it looked at Du Xiaofu. The golden light that surrounded Du Xiaofu's body just now made it tremble uneasily. Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked at the figures on the back of the raging flame falcon, and then looked at the young lady in the robe and said, "You're right, I can't take you back to be my maid today. You're stronger than me. You've just reached the higher heaven level, and you're already very strong. If I were at the same level as you, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to do anything to you either. I'll give you one more chance, hand over the blood infant Ganoderma, and I won't make it difficult for you. The young lady in the robe said to Du Xiaofu. I've said it before, I hate it when people try to take my things, even if you're pretty. Du Xiaofu smiled, and a smile appeared on his pale face. As soon as he finished speaking, he took out the blood infant Ganoderma and stuffed it into his mouth before the young lady in the robe could react. He wolfed it down, and in a short time, the blood infant Ganoderma was swallowed into his stomach. The young lady in the robe was shocked. How could the blood infant Ganoderma be swallowed directly? It was the main ingredient for refining spiritual grade elixirs, and if a higher heaven level cultivator swallowed it, the terrifying power of the spiritual grade elixir would be enough to make his body explode. He was definitely playing with his life. The young lady in the robe wanted the blood infant Ganoderma, and she thought that it was already under her control. Who would have thought that the young man in front of her would do such a crazy thing and swallow the blood infant Ganoderma? What are you doing? Shut up. The young lady in the robe reacted, and immediately shouted loudly. Her graceful body rushed towards Du Xiaofu like lightning. How could she let go of a spiritual grade elixir like the blood infant Ganoderma? Chapter 37. Come after me if you can. Du Xiaofu's entire body was wrapped in golden light. Then, under the surprised gaze of the girl, he directly jumped from the cliff and directly jumped off the cliff. In an instant, he was submerged in a thick layer of clouds. In the end, the girl was a bit slower. Her beautiful figure stood at the edge of the cliff, stomping her feet in anger. However, she was unable to chase down. That bottomless cliff had no place to stand. Clouds covered it, and even a flying monster beast would find it difficult to rush down to find someone. Swoosh swoosh. On the back of the Inferno Falcon, several figures hurriedly landed behind the girl. An old man in his 50s wearing a yellow robe said, "Is this kid looking for death? A Xiantian realm cultivator would definitely die if he jumped off the cliff. Swallowing the blood infant spirit mushroom would definitely kill him. So what if he died? Why waste such a precious item? Old Huang, can we go down and find him?" The girl looked down the cliff unwillingly. She never would have thought that the young man would choose to swallow the blood infant spirit mushroom and then jump off the cliff like a madman. This was simply playing with his life. That young man was crazy. How could a normal person do such a thing? For the blood infant spirit mushroom, he was willing to throw away his life. The old man in the yellow robe shook his head at the girl and said, "First princess, the fog below is too thick. Even the Inferno Falcon won't be able to find that kid. However, we can be sure that the kid is dead for sure. It's just a pity about the blood infant spirit mushroom. Let's go." People from the Profound Talisman sect, the Sky Snake sect, and the Profound Underworld sect have all appeared in the Barbaric Beast Mountain range. However, we don't see any strong cultivators leading them. I'm afraid that something big has happened. After a while, the girl could only give up. Everyone leapt onto the Inferno Falcon and flew away from the cliff. At the bottom of the bottomless cliff, Du Xiaofu seemed to have fallen from the heavens. Along with the rumbling sound of rocks falling from the sky, his body was like a rolling ball, crashing into the rocks and cliffs that suddenly appeared. When he finally rolled to the bottom of the cliff, Du Xiaofu didn't seem to have suffered much damage. He immediately stood up. However, his face was red, his eyes were red, and his body was about to swell up. If this scene was seen by the girl and the others, they would be stunned. It was simply impossible to jump off the cliff without suffering much damage. Ah! Du Xiaofu screamed in pain as his body swelled and trembled. He felt as if a surge of energy was about to burst his body. The blood infant Ganoderma contains too much medicinal power. Du Xiaofu knew the reason and forcefully swallowed the blood infant Ganoderma. However, the energy contained within the blood infant Ganoderma was simply too vast. At this moment, his body felt like it was about to explode. Under the intense pain, his entire body trembled. Refine the golden feather. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth. He could only refine the enormous energy of the blood infant Ganoderma into his skin and muscles. Otherwise, he really would explode. He circulated the golden rock's body refinement technique and continuously slammed his body against the cliffs. This kind of slamming caused waves of burning pain to drill into his heart. Under the intense pain, the places he slammed into seemed to become numb. Continue. Although the pain was abnormal, Du Xiaofu didn't dare to stop. He continued to slam himself against the cliffs and rocks. He didn't even consider himself a human. After the repeated slamming and numbing of the pain, the energy from the blood infant Ganoderma rapidly flowed through the places he slammed into. Under the stimulation of the slamming, his skin and muscles absorbed the energy. Traces of energy immediately merged into his skin and muscles. Du Xiaofu could feel that although the pain was abnormal, his body was quietly strengthening. Under the cliff, on top of a hidden huge rock, a huge tiger covered in king-pattern scales was looking down at Du Xiaofu from afar. The tiger's eyes were filled with doubt. After slamming into the cliffs again and again, Du Xiaofu also let out painful howls. His face was twisted in pain. Fortunately, no one could hear him at the bottom of this bottomless cliff. Thus, the pained howls and the muffled sounds of slamming into the cliffs didn't stop. After 3 days and 3 nights, the pained howls at the bottom of the cliff slowly subsided. Under the cliff, the rubble piled up into a small hill. Large pieces of rock were smashed into dust. Du Xiaofu lay on the rubble. His entire body was bruised and swollen. His body had also reached its limit. He weakly collapsed. No, I can't collapse. I still need to refine the medicinal energy. Du Xiaofu struggled to get up. He sat cross-legged on the rubble. Although most of the medicinal energy of the blood infant Ganoderma had been dispersed to his skin and flesh, there was still a vast amount of medicinal energy in his body. Circulating the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock, Du Xiaofu converted the remaining medicinal energy of the blood infant Ganoderma into profound qi and absorbed it into the god's watchtower. He began to immerse himself in refining it. On the rubble, a faint golden light spread around Du Xiaofu's body. Strands of profound qi spread out from his body. Then, they lingered on the surface of his body and endlessly drilled into Du Xiaofu's body. This cycle was very profound. Inside his body, Du Xiaofu felt that under the transformation of the stone coffin in the ancestral hall of the Du family, his physique was already exceptionally strong. The meridians and acupoints in his body were much stronger than an ordinary person's. And now, after cultivating the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock, his physique was even stronger. He was like a demonic beast, and the acupoints and meridians in his body were even stronger. The profound qi he could store was also thicker and larger. Even the god's watchtower was much wider than others. As he refined the medicinal energy of the blood infant Ganoderma in his body, profound qi continuously surged into the god's watchtower. The profound qi in Du Xiaofu's god's watchtower was constantly expanding at an extremely fast speed. After an unknown period of time, the profound qi in the god's watchtower had already reached a critical point where it could not be increased anymore. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's hand seals suddenly changed. The golden light around his body emitted a clanging sound, and his entire body was suffused with a domineering golden light. Runes spread out one after another, and finally condensed behind him to form the image of a golden rock. On a hidden huge rock above the cliff, a king-striped tiger looked at the image of the golden-winged rock. Its huge body trembled, and then it prostrated itself. Bam! Until a soft muffled sound quietly came out from the god's watchtower, the image of the golden-winged rock formed by the runes behind Du Xiaofu also turned into a rune and entered his body. The golden light around his body also slowly disappeared. Who? When everything calmed down, Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of turbid air. He opened his eyes, and his clear eyes were suffused with a faint golden color, emitting a domineering aura. The mysteries of the Xiantian realm. Feeling the changes in his body, Du Xiaofu's face revealed a smile. The exhaustion and dispiritedness in his body had disappeared, and in exchange, he was in high spirits. He never thought that he would be able to use this opportunity to break through from the initial stage of the Xiantian realm to the mysteries of the Xiantian realm. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu seemed to have sensed something. His cross-legged body immediately stood up, and he raised his head with vigilance. Roar! The tiger's roar was like thunder. On top of the cliff, a huge flying tiger with a wingspan of 20 feet descended. With a flap of its wings, it caused the rocks below the cliff to shoot out, and the air to sweep out like a storm. King-scaled demonic tiger. Du Xiaofu was surprised. The huge flying tiger was the king-scaled demonic tiger that was scared away during the fight for the blood infant Lingji in the Earth Spirit Gorge a few days ago. He never thought that the king-scaled demonic tiger would actually appear here. Roar! The king-scaled demonic tiger's huge body retracted its wings and landed in front of Du Xiaofu. Then, under Du Xiaofu's surprised gaze, it crawled on the ground and raised its head to look at Du Xiaofu. Its lantern-like tiger eyes revealed a docile look, without any fierceness. A low roar came from its mouth, as if it wanted to say something. Du Xiaofu was surprised. He could feel that the unusually ferocious king-scaled demonic tiger was not in any danger at this moment. The gaze in the tiger's eyes seemed to be expressing its submission to him. You want to follow me? Du Xiaofu suppressed the doubts and surprise in his heart, and probingly asked the king-scaled demonic tiger in front of him. Roar! The king-scaled demonic tiger gave a low roar and nodded, as if it could clearly understand Du Xiaofu's words. You can understand my words? Du Xiaofu was shocked. The king-scaled demonic tiger of this mountain range had clearly reached the level of psychic awareness. It was rumored that the stronger demonic beasts were psychic and could understand the human language. The stronger demonic beasts could even speak the human language. Du Xiaofu had also heard of a legend before. When those terrifying demonic beasts cultivated to a certain level, they could even turn into monsters and eventually form a human body. However, those terrifying demonic beasts that could turn into monsters and take human form only existed in legends. Roar! The king-scaled demonic tiger nodded its head again, its gaze filled with respect as it looked at Du Xiaofu. Its tiger eyes were docile and submissive. So, you have already reached the pulse spiritual level? After Du Xiaofu recovered from his shock, he was now excited. This king-scaled demonic tiger had really reached the psychic level. A psychic level demonic beast was at least at the pulse spiritual level. A pulse spiritual level demonic beast was stronger than a pulse spiritual martial artist of the same level. As for pulse spirit realm warriors, there was not a single one in the entire stone city. For many warriors, the pulse spirit realm was an existence that they could only dream of. Roar! The king-scaled demonic tiger nodded its head again, admitting that it was at the pulse spiritual level. Goo goo! Du Xiaofu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. A pulse spiritual level demonic beast king suddenly appeared in front of him and said that it wanted to submit to him. Could it be that his wisdom and martial spirit had attracted this king-scaled demonic tiger? Thank you to Commander _no tears for the gift of 10,000 chasing wave coins. Thank you. Chapter 38. This king-scaled monstrous tiger must have seen through his brilliance and martial prowess. Sooner or later, he would be extraordinary, which was why it wanted to submit to him. Thinking of this, Du Xiaofu became more and more shamelessly convinced that this king-scaled monstrous tiger must have seen through his brilliance and martial prowess. Thinking of this, Du Xiaofu felt as if his own image had become even greater. Looking at the king-scaled monstrous tiger's hill-like body, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but sigh. It's not that you can't submit to me, but your body is too big. If I bring you back to the Stone City, it will definitely cause some trouble. Roar! The king-scaled monstrous tiger seemed to understand Du Xiaofu's words. Its tiger mouth ferociously roared, and with a flap of its wings, its huge body mysteriously began to shrink. Its wings disappeared, and it finally became the size of a kitten. On the king mark on its forehead, there seemed to be a small protruding dot, like a horn that had yet to grow. If one didn't look carefully, it would be very difficult to notice the existence of this small dot. Transformation technique, you actually know how to transform. You're not an ordinary monstrous beast, definitely not an ordinary monstrous beast. Du Xiaofu was shocked speechless. Naturally, he had heard that monstrous beasts with transformation techniques had extraordinary abilities. Once they grew up, even the top human warriors wouldn't be able to match them. Ha ha ha. I've struck gold this time. Looking at the shrinking king-scaled monstrous tiger in front of him and feeling the abundant profound energy in his body, Du Xiaofu's lips curled into a smile. Then, his smile gradually widened, and he couldn't help but laugh loudly. In the savage beast mountain range, there were many peaks and steep ridges, and some deep valleys were surrounded by clouds all year round. Bang bang bang. Low sounds of energy colliding rang out in the deep valleys. Dozens of people were in a chaotic battle. It was Zhu Shui, Guoming, Chen Yan, Lin Buguang, Lu Kuan, and the others. Their figures were wrapped in profound energy, constantly exchanging blows. Amidst the fierce battle, everyone's profound energy gushed out, and runes surged. As their profound energy collided, low muffled sounds rang out unceasingly, and the withered leaves and rocks on the ground were shattered into dust. Zhu Shui, Guoming, and Lin Buguang were working together to fight against an extremely tall and thin man. The thin man fought against 3 people alone. Even though he was fighting 1 against 3, it was still extremely easy for him. His skinny, chicken claw-like hands continuously tore apart Guoming's sword shadows, pierced through Zhu Shui's palm imprints, and destroyed Lin Buguang's attacks. The skinny man released his powerful aura, suppressing Zhu Shui, Guoming, and Lin Buguang to the point that they could barely breathe. Chen Yan and Lu Kuan were fighting not far away. Both of them seemed to be equally matched, and it was difficult to determine the victor for a time. The Profound Underworld sect's Wang Yuan and the remaining disciples of the Profound Underworld sect, the Profound Talisman School, and the Sky Snake sect's youths and the White Leopard hunting group's hunters were engaged in a fierce battle. How can the 3 of you be my match? The skinny man sneered. His claw imprint once again forced Zhu Shui and Guoming to retreat. The fierce attack had already torn a long wound on Guoming's left arm, and blood was dripping. Bastard, what's so great about being in the perfected innate realm? You dare to touch the woman that I fancy? I'm not done with you. Lin Buguang shouted as he condensed a hand imprint in his hand. Runes spread out, and a fist imprint rushed through the air. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down, and it carried a terrifying oppressive aura as it directly enveloped the skinny man. A hint of fear flashed across the skinny man's face. Although this young man was only in the nirvana realm of the innate realm, his strength made him somewhat fearful. As expected of a disciple from a large sect, he had such a terrifying cultivation strength at such a young age. While he was fearful, just as the fist imprint was about to land, the skinny man's gaze sank. He tapped the ground with the tip of his foot, and relying on his rich experience, his body drifted back like a falling leaf. At the same time, a fierce claw imprint accompanied by a rune landed directly on Lin Buguang's fist imprint. Gotcha! The claw imprint landed, and the two collided. The fist imprint and the claw imprint instantly collided. Nether Sun Saber Technique. Lin Buguang shouted, and a huge saber strangely appeared in his hand. He poured his celestial chi into it, and his arms danced rapidly. The huge saber slashed out like a bolt of lightning towards the skinny man. The saber radiance gushed out, and it was incomparably fierce. The skinny man's expression changed. The young man in front of him was actually stronger than he had imagined. The tip of his foot moved, and his body rapidly retreated. At the same time, his celestial chi gushed out and condensed into a claw imprint. His sleeve shook, and he hurriedly blocked the fierce saber. Chi la la. Everything happened in a few breaths. When the skinny man retreated, the claw imprint on his palm broke open, and the fierce saber radiance left a bloody saber mark on the palm in the middle of the claw imprint. As expected, you have some ability. The skinny man licked the blood stain on the palm to the side of his mouth. His gaze surged with coldness, and then he condensed his hand imprint. In just a few breaths' time, his skinny and tall body pounced towards Lin Buguang, and waves of celestial chi continuously surged out. Tiger roar shaking the sky. At the same time when the skinny man pounced towards Lin Buguang, a loud shout was heard, and it instantly reverberated through the valley like muffled thunder. Roar! The loud shout was like a tiger's roar, and thunder rumbled. The sound waves transformed into a terrifying storm-like whirlpool, and then it swept towards Lin Buguang. The large saber in Lin Buguang's hand danced, and waves of saber radiance blocked the terrifying sound waves. However, the terrifying sound waves became more and more fierce, and it shook people's eardrums to the point of piercing pain, and the ground was directly sent flying. Puchi. After retreating more than 10 steps, blood flowed out from the corner of Lin Buguang's mouth, and a dignified expression gushed out from his eyes. Spirit Talisman Transformation, Kill. Zhu Shui, who was shaken back, took the opportunity to appear beside the skinny man. Her bright eyes shot out a bright light and strange hand imprints condensed one after another. An abnormal fluctuation began to violently surge around her body, accompanied by strange runes that spread out, and finally condensed into a living goshawk. Gee! The goshawk let out a shrill cry, and it spread out its wings that were several meters wide. It brought along a small storm-like energy storm as it directly pounced towards the skinny man. You're actually a spirit talisman master, but it's a pity that you're only a 2-star beginner. It's not enough. The skinny man was a little surprised. He waved his hand, and a stream of profound chi surged out. Runes surged, and like a rainbow piercing through the sun, it fiercely collided with the goshawk that seemed like a living creature. Bang! The goshawk's shadow sank, and then it was shattered into pieces. A violent energy explosion resounded. Zhu Shui's delicate body trembled, and then she staggered back. Her delicate face was pale. Jie, so what if you're from the Profound Underworld sect and the Profound Talisman sect? Brats who are still wet behind the ears also dared to barge into the barbaric beast mountain range. It's time to end this, and all the treasures on your bodies are mine. The skinny man sneered. So what if the Profound Underworld sect and the Profound Talisman sect were colossi? This was the barbaric beast mountain range, a small border city. As long as he obtained the treasures on these brats, he would have a stable life for the rest of his life. When the time came, he could just conceal his identity, and no matter how powerful the Profound Underworld sect and the Profound Talisman sect were, they would not be able to find him. Chi. Just as Zhu Shui's delicate body staggered back, the skinny man's figure flashed like lightning. His eyes revealed a cold glint, and a claw in his hand viciously clawed at Zhu Shui. When they saw this scene, Guoming and Lin Buguang's expressions changed drastically. However, they had just been forced back, and were unable to provide assistance. They also did not have the strength to do so. The fierce claw grew larger in Zhu Shui's eyes. Her delicate body was still staggered back, and she was unable to dodge. Her eyes could not help but shut weakly. Chi. Just when Lin Buguang, Guoming and the others thought that Zhu Shui was doomed under the shocked gazes of the surrounding people, a light golden waterfall suddenly resounded with a sharp sound of breaking through the wind. After that, it fiercely collided with the skinny man's claw. Chi La. The pale golden light was overbearing and ferocious, and it actually forced the skinny man's body back. At the same time, a young man appeared in front of Zhu Shui. He looked to be around 15 or 16 years old, and his somewhat childish face seemed to have more determination than his peers. His eyebrows were thick like swords, and his eyes were clear and bright. This sudden scene caused the crowd to be dumbstruck. Zhu Shui slowly opened her eyes and looked at the back of the figure in front of her. She was stunned for a moment, but soon after, joy gushed out on her delicate face. Brother Xiaofu. Guoming looked at the young man who had suddenly appeared, and a wild joy immediately surfaced on his face. The young man who had arrived was still wearing his clothes. Who else could it be but Du Xiaofu? Many gazes landed on Du Xiaofu. Back then in the Earth Spirit Gorge, that young man was incomparably overbearing and crushed everything. He had plucked the blood infant spirit mushroom as if there was no one around. How shocking was that? Brat, it's you. The skinny man regained his senses. He seemed to have found out from Lu Kuan that the young man before him was the one who had killed the second and third brothers of his white leopard hunting group. Instantly, killing intent spread out. You must be Shou Hu. You seem to be looking for me everywhere. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. His sword-like eyebrows moved slightly, and his clear eyes were as clear as flowing spring water. His expression was calm and indifferent. However, it was this kind of calmness and indifference that caused Shou Hu, who had experienced hundreds of battles, to suddenly feel uneasy. That's right, I'm looking for you. Pretending to be mysterious in front of demonic beasts, but in front of me, you can go to hell. Shou Hu gave Du Xiaofu a sinister smile. He was looking for this brat. Moreover, the blood infant spirit mushroom was also on this brat's body. As his voice faded, he suddenly stomped his foot on the ground, and a terrifying aura erupted from his skinny body. Like a ferocious tiger descending from the mountain, he waved his hands and two claws tore through the air like a tiger's claws. The sharp sound of wind breaking resounded in front of Du Xiaofu. The terrifying aura suppressed the space, and it was clear that he had used his full strength, wanting to kill Du Xiaofu in one move. Thank you, Brother Fama 3333, for tipping me with 10,000 wave-chasing coins. Today's update has been completed. I saw that there are some brothers in the book review section who are still a little confused about the levels of realms and martial techniques. Little you will explain it here. Currently, the realms are divided into the acquired realm, innate realm, pulsating realm, and pulse realm. The innate realm, pulsating realm, and pulse realm, and the pulse realm, and the pulse realm, respectively, are divided into the initial stage, mysterious realm, nirvana realm, and perfection realm. As for martial techniques, there are only the innate realm and the acquired realm, and the initial stage, mysterious realm, nirvana realm, and perfection realm. Roughly speaking, the level of cultivation is determined by the level of cultivation. The innate realm cultivates the innate realm, the pulsating realm cultivates the mobile grade martial techniques, and the pulse realm cultivates the spiritual grade martial techniques. There are some special exceptions, such as our pig trotters. There are 4 types of martial techniques: heaven, earth, mysterious, and yellow. Each type is divided into the initial stage, middle stage, and high stage. Currently, there are only these, and they shouldn't be too complicated. Chapter 39. The perfect Xiantian stage is not weak at all. Seeing Shou Hu pouncing towards him like a ferocious tiger, a strange glint flashed across Du Xiaofu's clear eyes. Neither dodging nor dodging, he formed a series of hand seals, and a faint golden glow immediately spread out from his body. Runes spread and leapt, and a tyrannical and ferocious aura suddenly gushed out like an erupting volcano. Then, he waved his right arm and viciously swung it towards Shou Hu. Walala! Du Xiaofu swung his arm out, and golden runes surged, condensing into a giant golden wing shadow. Then, it viciously swung onto Shou Hu's body. Shou Hu did not dodge at all. This was the toughest collision, a tough confrontation without any fancy moves. Bang bang. Above the golden wing shadow, an incomparably tyrannical and majestic force poured out like a volcanic eruption. After the collision, Du Xiaofu's figure staggered back 2 steps before stabilizing his body. A smile immediately appeared on his resolute face. Just as he had expected, after consuming the blood infant Ganoderma, his body had become even more valiant after being tempered. Furthermore, after breaking through to the mysterious level of the Xiantian realm, his strength had once again increased greatly. Just by relying on his valiant body in his own strength, he was able to occupy an absolute advantage. The cultivation method of the golden-winged rock was indeed terrifying and domineering. Dang dang. Shou Hu's body was continuously shaken back, and with every step he took, the ground would crack. He hurriedly retreated a dozen steps before stabilizing his body. Lifting his head to look at Du Xiaofu, he said in shock, "The mysterious Xiantian stage, how can it be so strong?" Pfft. As his voice fell, Shou Hu could not catch his breath. A mouthful of dark red blood spurted out from his mouth, and his gaze became increasingly aghast. "I didn't provoke you, but you wanted to kill me time and time again. Today is the perfect time to settle the score." With a stomp of his foot, Du Xiaofu took the initiative to attack. His figure pounced out like lightning, like a great rock spreading its wings or a goshawk pouncing on its prey. In an instant, he arrived in front of Skinny Tiger. Profound chi surged in his palm as he clenched his 5 fingers into a fist. A shocking aura erupted as he directly punched Skinny Tiger in front of him. Skinny Tiger's expression drastically changed. When he fought with Du Xiaofu earlier, he could feel that this young man was like a terrifying demonic beast. It was as if he was facing a king of demonic beasts that he had never seen before. Skinny Tiger's heart trembled in fear. At this moment, the speed of this young man was beyond his imagination. He was actually so fast. Unable to dodge, the thin tiger's entire body surged with Xian Qi. Runes flashed, and a fist imprint collided in a panic. Bang bang bang. A low muffled sound rang out from the point of collision between the 2 fists. One sound followed another, and a total of 13 sounds rang out. Waves of astonishing energy waves formed a total of 13 layers. Their imposing aura multiplied, and like a shock wave, they fiercely collided with Shou Hu's fist. Kacha, the sound of bones breaking rang out. Skinny Tiger's face turned into the color of a pig's liver. He was in so much pain that his face twisted hideously. His fist was directly shattered, and his bones were broken. The tyrannical power seemed to want to shatter his internal organs. From now on, the White Leopard hunting group will be removed from the barbaric Beast Mountain range. Du Xiaofu's figure once again appeared in front of Skinny Tiger. He was as fast as lightning and as powerful as thunder. Runes flashed around his body, and a palm imprint shot out. It was like a stormy sea, and it crashed into Skinny Tiger's chest. A power that could topple mountains and overturn seas burst out. Skinny Tiger's pupils shrank. Only now did he realize how terrifying the young man in front of him was. Compared to the young men from the Profound Underworld sect and the Profound Charm School, he was even more terrifying. If he had known earlier, he would not have dared to provoke such a terrifying young man. Poochie. Blood spurted out from Skinny Tiger's mouth. His ribs were continuously broken, and his internal organs were also shattered by the force of gravity. His body was sent flying, and when it landed heavily on the ground, he had already lost his vitality. A complete Xiantian realm expert was killed in such a clean and efficient manner. It was overbearing and powerful. It was unstoppable and terrifying. The surrounding Guoming, Lin Boguang, and the others were already dumbfounded. Witnessing all this with their own eyes, one could imagine the degree of shock in their hearts. At this moment, Lu Kun and the remaining members of the White Leopard hunting group had an extremely ugly expression on their faces. No one would have thought that Skinny Tiger, a complete Xiantian realm expert, would be killed by the young man in such a domineering manner. The corner of Du Xiaofu's mouth curled into a faint smile, and he clenched his fists. He never thought that the mysterious realm would be so much stronger than the initial ascending realm, especially in terms of his body. After consuming the blood infant spirit mushroom, his body had become so powerful. If it wasn't for his powerful body, which allowed him to be unafraid of Skinny Tiger's aura, he wouldn't have been able to kill Skinny Tiger in such a domineering manner. The domineering aura on his body originated from his powerful body. He was as powerful as a demon beast king, and could look down on everything. The great leader is also dead, run. After the White Leopard hunting group's members recovered from their shock, they did not dare to stay any longer and began to run for their lives. Roar! A tiger's roar shook the sky, and a huge king-striped demon tiger appeared. Two of the fastest Xiantian realm experts from the White Leopard hunting group were directly torn to pieces by the huge tiger's claws. Blood splattered all over the ground, causing everyone's heart to palpitate. It's that king-scaled demon tiger. Everyone's eyes trembled, and their bodies trembled. The huge tiger with a wingspan of 200 feet hovered in the air, glaring at them like a tiger watching its prey. Its astonishing aura caused Lin Buguang, Guoming, Zhu Shui, and the others to be frightened. However, after the king-scaled demon tiger tore apart the two Xiantian realm experts from the White Leopard hunting group, it turned around and flew away. It did not attack anyone else, causing everyone to be extremely puzzled. Run! After the other White Leopard hunting group's members trembled, they continued to flee as they watched the king-scaled demon tiger fly away. Du Xiaofu squatted in front of Shou Hu's corpse and searched his body. Finally, he took out a palm-sized bag covered in runes. This is his Qianquan bag. Everything should be inside it. Zhu Shui arrived in front of Du Xiaofu, her eyes still filled with shock. Qianquan bag. A smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's face. It was said that only a spirit talisman master could refine a Qianquan bag. Inside a small Qianquan bag, a spirit talisman master could inscribe runes on it, causing it to become a Qianquan bag that could shrink space. It was said that the more powerful a spirit talisman master was, the more space the Qianquan bag could shrink, and the more things it could store. Du Xiaofu unceremoniously put the Qianquan bag into his arms. The Qianquan bag itself was a treasure, and not something an ordinary person could possess. Du Xiaofu naturally would not let it go. Then, he stood up. Thank you for saving me. Zhu Shui's pearly white teeth lightly parted, the corners of her mouth forming a beautiful arc. There was a different look in her eyes. It's just a coincidence. Du Xiaofu nodded. The king-scaled demon tiger had submitted and followed him, so naturally, it was easy for him to leave the bottomless cliff. He did not expect to meet Zhu Shui and the others again. In any case, he had to deal with the White Leopard hunting group. Therefore, when he was in danger, he naturally took action. Brother Xiaofu. Guoming ran over in surprise. Looking at Du Xiaofu, he happily said, I did not expect you to save us again. It's just a small matter. Are you okay? Du Xiaofu slightly smiled. The injury on Guoming's arm seemed to be not light. Guoming shook his head and glanced at his injured arm. He did not care and said, it's just a small matter. It's not a big deal. After taking some pills and adjusting my breathing for a few days, I'll be fine. So it's you. You're Du Xiaofu, right? Thank you for your help just now. I'm Lin Buguang, a disciple of the Profound Underworld sect. Lin Buguang went up to Du Xiaofu's side. He had seen Du Xiaofu in action before, and also witnessed the shocking scene in the Earth Spirit Gorge. The strength that Du Xiaofu had just displayed had once again shocked him. He had ignored Shen Yan from the Profound Talisman sect, but now, he had taken the initiative to greet him. This already proved that Du Xiaofu had a special place in his heart. I only helped you because you're an acquaintance. Plus, I have a grudge with the White Leopard hunting group. I did not help you on purpose. You don't need to thank me. Du Xiaofu said to Lin Buguang. It's all right. I'm just thanking you for helping junior sister Zhu Shui. As for me, that skinny tiger can't kill me anyway. Why should I thank you? Lin Buguang did not mind Du Xiaofu's words at all. He looked at the way Zhu Shui was looking at Du Xiaofu, and said to Du Xiaofu, don't think that you can snatch junior sister Zhu Shui from me just because you're stronger than me. Let me tell you, I'll fight anyone who tries to snatch junior sister Zhu Shui from me. Du Xiaofu looked at Lin Buguang, somewhat speechless. He then smiled helplessly. Lin Buguang, I'm not your junior sister, and I have nothing to do with you. If you continue to spout nonsense, I won't be polite to you. Zhu Shui's eyes were like water, revealing a bit of coldness. She was so angry that she stomped her feet. How could Lin Buguang talk about her like that? They had nothing to do with each other. At this moment, she didn't know why, but she was especially afraid of how the young man before her would look at her. She couldn't help but secretly look at Du Xiaofu from the corner of her eyes. Lin Buguang didn't get angry when he heard this. He smiled slightly and said to Zhu Shui, junior sister Zhu Shui, don't be angry. I won't say anything. I'll listen to you. You. Zhu Shui lowered her eyes and gently pursed her lips. After she finished speaking, she lowered her head slightly and turned to the side, no longer speaking. It seemed that she didn't want to be entangled with Lin Buguang anymore. After these few days of contact, she also knew how to stay away from Lin Buguang. The more she paid attention to him, the more difficult it would be to clean up the situation. Brother Du Xiaofu, thank you for helping. That Lu Kuan is also with the White Leopard hunting group. The people of the Sky Snake sect are too hateful. At this moment, Chen Yan had also arrived by Du Xiaofu's side. He was separated from Lu Kuan in a fierce battle, and the outcome of the battle couldn't be determined. He looked at Lu Kuan from afar, and coldness shot out from his eyes. However, he knew that he couldn't do anything to Lu Kuan. What does it have to do with me? Du Xiaofu didn't even look Chen Yan in the eye. Chapter 40. Du Xiaofu looked at Guoming and Zhu Shui and said, I'll be leaving first. Barbaric Beast Mountain Range is very dangerous, you guys should leave as soon as possible. As soon as he finished speaking, Du Xiaofu turned around and left. Young, Zhu Shui's lips parted slightly as if she wanted to say something. However, in the end, she did not say anything as her eyes flashed with a dazed look. Kid, who do you think you are? If you fall into my hands in the future. Chen Yan looked at the tall and straight figure and felt extremely uncomfortable. That kid actually did not take him seriously. If there was a chance in the future, he would definitely not let it go. Let's go, Lu Kuan's expression changed. The members of the White Leopard hunting group had either died or fled. He and the other brothers were no longer able to contend against the combined forces of the Profound Underworld sect and Profound Talisman sect. They immediately waved their hands and signaled for everyone to leave. Where do you think you're going? Let's chase. Chen Yan immediately shouted when he saw this. Lu Kuan and the others also had treasures on them. Lu Kuan is very strong. We're all injured. Even if we want to deal with that guy, we'll have to wait until we recover. Moreover, although this is the edge of the Barbaric Beast Mountain Range, there are many high-rank monster beasts recently. Let's be careful first. Lin Buguang had no intention of chasing. Although they had the numbers advantage now, it would be difficult to truly deal with Lu Kuan. Moreover, he did not want to be used as a tool. Let's find a place to heal first. We'll take revenge for our brothers in the future. Zhu Shui softly said. She, Guoming and the others were all injured, and several of their brothers and sisters were also seriously injured. Moreover, they were in the barbaric Beast Mountain range. It was indeed not the time to deal with Lu Kuan. In any case, the current Lu Kuan was no longer a threat to them. One day, I'll definitely not let that kid go. Guoming gritted his teeth, but could only give up. Since no one had any intention of chasing, Chen Yan could only give up. He could not do anything to Lu Kuan alone. However, he felt that it was a pity for the treasures that Lu Kuan had picked up. The feathers that fell from the golden-winged rock and purple-flame demonic phoenix were not ordinary. The mountain peaks were continuous, green and lush. On top of a rock in the forest, the king-scaled demon tiger, which had shrunk to the size of a kitten, was by his side. Du Xiaofu was not worried about being attacked by demon beasts, nor did he have to worry about encountering other dangers. Du Xiaofu took out the Qiankuan bag that he had taken from Shouhu and carefully inspected it. He had also heard of Qiankuan bags. In the entire Du family, it was said that only first uncle, second uncle and a few others had Qiankuan bags on them. It could be said that the number of people who had Qiankuan bags could be counted on one hand. It was said that even the cheapest Qiankuan bag cost several thousand cultivation coins. It could be seen how expensive it was. An average person would not be able to afford it, and not just anyone could buy it. How do I open this thing? After inspecting the Qiankuan bag for a long time, Du Xiaofu encountered a problem. This Qiankuan bag was sealed and could not be opened at all. He did not know how to open it either. This made Du Xiaofu feel depressed. The White Leopard hunting group's great captain must have a lot of valuable items on him. Most likely, he would have some martial skills and elixirs. It was a pity that the Qiankuan bag could not be opened. Little brother, you can't open this Qiankuan bag. Even if you are an expert, you can't. If you forcefully open the Qiankuan bag, the items in the Qiankuan bag will shatter into pieces. At this moment, a voice was transmitted to Du Xiaofu's ears. It was also at this moment that Du Xiaofu's clear eyes suddenly widened. His body rapidly retreated as he looked at the item in his arms. Suddenly, he trembled in fear. The king-scaled demon tiger beside Du Xiaofu also immediately straightened its ears. Its pupils shrunk as it stared intently at the item in Du Xiaofu's arms. A man and a beast looked at each other and saw a thumb-sized pagoda floating out from Du Xiaofu's arms. It was the pagoda that Du Xiaofu had casually put away in the Du family's martial repository. A while ago, the clothes on his body in the blood essence of the violent stone demon wolf had all turned into ashes. However, only this pagoda and a piece of beast bone were undamaged. As the pagoda floated out, a stream of light suddenly appeared on top of the bronze-colored pagoda. There were faint talisman patterns flickering on it. Finally, the air around the pagoda fluctuated and a smoke-like fluctuation spread out from the pagoda. Finally, it condensed into a rather transparent figure of a youth. This transparent figure looked to be about 12 or 13 years old. Judging from the figure, his body was very thin, extremely thin, extremely thin. His entire body was just skin and bones. However, there were 2 pieces of meat on his cheeks. His eyebrows were inverted and he had triangular eyes. Not only did he have triangular eyes, but he also had a wretched look. A 12 or 13-year-old youth with a tender face that looked extremely wretched. It made people feel uncomfortable no matter how they looked at him. It was hard to imagine how he could have such a face. If one were to use words to describe this transparent youth, only extremely wretched would be able to perfectly describe and interpret this transparent youth. Hello, little brother. Can I get to know you? The transparent youth with a wretched appearance smiled and floated in front of Du Xiaofu. It would have been better if he didn't smile. Once he smiled, his wretched face looked even uglier than crying. Those triangular eyes were already very small and uncoordinated. At this moment, it was impossible to see his eyes. If a normal child saw such a wretched person, the first thing they would do would be to cry. However, this guy was still a youth and he even called Du Xiaofu little brother. What do you want? Don't come over. This youth's appearance was really too wretched. Du Xiaofu couldn't help but take 2 steps back. This guy couldn't have a special hobby and liked molesters, right? Du Xiaofu secretly decided that if this wretched guy dared to have any ideas about him, he would definitely castrate him. However, Du Xiaofu immediately straightened his chest. He was obviously a bit older than this guy, so why should he be afraid of this little guy who was still wet behind the ears? He gathered his courage and asked, "Who are you? Why are you in the small pagoda?" "Little brother, you don't have to be afraid. Please allow me to introduce myself. My surname is Zhen, and my name is Qing Chun." The extremely wretched youth introduced himself. His tone was very old-fashioned and scholarly, but his voice couldn't hide the immaturity and even sounded like a child's voice. "Zhen Qing Chun." Du Xiaofu looked at the wretched transparent youth. He really couldn't figure out how he could have such a name. His surname is indeed Zhen. Qing Chun is the Qing Chun of the wine fragrance. This Qing Chun is not the same as Qing Chun. Zhen Qing Chun shook his head as he explained, appearing even more old-fashioned and old-fashioned. However, when paired with his young and tender face, it gave off an awkward feeling. Roar! The king-scaled demon tiger roared at Zhen Qing Chun. It seemed to have also received some shock, and its kitten-like body instantly returned to its original form. The mountain-like tiger body glared at Zhen Qing Chun as a thunderous roar came from its ferocious mouth. A king-scaled demon tiger at the initial pulse spirit stage. It seems to have mutated and is showing signs of returning to its ancestral roots. If properly groomed, it will be a promising talent. Looking at the king-scaled demon tiger, Zhen Qingchuan's illusory face immediately revealed an astonished expression. He waved his hand at the king-scaled demon tiger and said, "Initial pulse spirit stage." Back then, such a level didn't even have the qualifications to become my mount. Hurry and back off. Roar. The king-scaled demon tiger naturally would not listen to Zhen Qingchun. It continued to roar savagely at Zhen Qingchun. However, there was also some wariness in its ferocious eyes. "How did you end up in that small tower?" Du Xiaofu arrived in front of the king-scaled demon tiger and finally calmed down a little. He indicated for the king-scaled demon tiger to be quiet, but his eyes remained vigilant. "This tower is no ordinary object, and I am no ordinary person either." Zhen Qingchun looked at Du Xiaofu, the light in his eyes flickering without leaving a trace as he said, "Let me put it this way. My status is very noble and my origins are extraordinary. You should have already seen that I am currently a Yuan spirit. My Yuan spirit proves that I am an expert. However, an accident happened during one of my training sessions, and my Yuan spirit ended up in this small tower. Are you really an expert? Your origins are extraordinary." Du Xiaofu interrupted Zhen Qingchuan's words. His eyes were curiously sizing up the transparent wretched figure. Regarding the Yuan spirit body, Du Xiaofu was from a martial arts family like the Du family, so he knew a little about it. It was said that only those legendary experts were able to condense a Yuan spirit body, which was equivalent to giving people an extra life. However, this kind of method was beyond the imagination of ordinary warriors. Of course, I am an expert. My origins are extraordinary. Zhen Qingchun nodded affirmatively and emphasized in a particularly loud voice. "Look at you, you look like a little kid." Du Xiaofu said. This, Zhen Qingchun was suddenly at a loss for words. He raised his eyebrows and looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "That's because I had an accident during my training. In fact, I am already several hundred years old. I will be able to recover after I recover." "Then, do you have a Tian-level cultivation method?" Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and asked Zhen Qingchun weakly. Hearing this, Zhen Qingchuan's transparent wretched face suddenly became somewhat stifled. Then, his face suddenly revealed a smile that could frighten children to tears. He said to Du Xiaofu, I do have a Tian level cultivation method. However, I didn't bring it with me when I went out. Then, do you have any high-grade martial arts? If you don't, some good elixirs or pills will do. Du Xiaofu looked at Zhen Qingchun expectantly, waiting for Zhen Qingchun's answer. I didn't bring it with me. On Zhen Qingchun's transparent and wretched face, the smile that he had managed to squeeze out with great difficulty once again stiffened. This was a little different from the conversation he had imagined. In his imagination, he had suddenly appeared, and after a little brat saw him, he would definitely hug the thigh of his illusory soul and beg to become his disciple. At that time, he would then. But the brat in front of him did not play by the rules at all. Instead, he kept asking for benefits, and did not have much interest in him at all. This made him very depressed. Chapter 41. Then why don't you just tell me why you're looking for me? Du Xiaofu's clear eyes were filled with disappointment as he discreetly observed the primordial spirit who claimed to be Zhen Qingchun. He claimed that he had an extraordinary background and was an expert, but he couldn't bring out anything good. This kind of person was most likely a liar. Because you got lucky. Zhen Qingchun looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled amiably. However, this smile was still as wretched as before as he said, I can see that you only have a grade 2 to grade 3 martial vein. With this level of martial vein, in the future, on the path of cultivation, Zhen Qingchun purposely paused halfway through his words, revealing a look of pity. He then continued to speak to Du Xiaofu, but you don't have to worry or feel inferior. I'm here to save you. As long as you have my guidance, even if you only have a second-level martial vein, I can still help you become an expert. I can help your cultivation progress by leaps and bounds. With my help, you'll be able to stand out among your peers in the future, then what do I have to do for you? Du Xiaofu once again interrupted Zhen Qingchun. He knew in his heart that there was no such thing as an idiot's lunch in this world. For a stranger to mysteriously offer to help you so much, it definitely wouldn't be for free. As the saying goes, one who is unaccountably solicitous must be hiding evil intentions. Thinking of this, and looking at Zhen Qingchun's vulgar face, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but feel a certain part of his back tighten. Liar, this vulgar guy must be a liar, Du Xiaofu thought to himself. As for the level of his own martial vein, Du Xiaofu didn't care at all. After all, he was currently cultivating the cultivation method of the golden-winged great peng. Well said, well said. Zhen Qingchun was full of smiles. That wretched and transparent face of his was smiling like a blooming chrysanthemum. He said, because I encountered an accident during my cultivation, my primordial spirit needs to rest. Therefore, I need the profound energy in your body and, you want my profound qi? Du Xiaofu was stunned. Then, he looked at Zhen Qingchun seriously. Under his sword-like eyebrows, his clear eyes gradually became somewhat complicated and interesting. That's right, I want your mystical energy and, hula. Before Zhen Qingchun's words could fade, a fist whizzed over and directly smashed onto the illusionary transparent figure, directly shattering the illusionary transparent figure. Brat, what are you doing? The illusory transparent figure shattered and immediately turned into a puff of smoke. Then, it entered the small tower that was floating in the air. A voice sounded out, Brat, you dare to attack me? You have already brought a great disaster upon yourself. You are indeed a liar. You actually dared to trick me. Du Xiaofu stretched out his hand and grabbed the small tower that was floating in the air. Then, he fiercely threw it to the ground. At the same time, he cursed, you still want to get your hands on my Xian Qi? This young master has survived a great calamity and painstakingly cultivated my Xian Qi. How dare you try to trick me? Xian Qi. As a person with crippled meridians, it was not easy for him to cultivate Xian Qi. It could be said that Xian Qi was Du Xiaofu's lifeblood. This Zhen Qingchun actually wanted his Xian Qi from the start. This immediately touched Du Xiaofu's bottom line. Du Xiaofu's sudden attack was actually somewhat nervous. However, when he saw that Jin Qingchun, who claimed to be a primordial spirit body, was unable to withstand a single blow and immediately hid in the small tower. In addition, he had tried to trick Du Xiaofu with his Xian Qi from the start. This made Du Xiaofu even more certain that this guy was a liar, an absolute liar. Du Xiaofu flipped out. He picked up the small tower that had fallen to the ground and threw it fiercely again. At the same time, he cursed, "You still dare to call yourself an expert? You even have an extraordinary background. I will break this thing. Let's see how you will hide. You actually dared to trick me. You are going to hang yourself. You must be tired of living. You still dare to ask for Xian Qi? You really dare to ask for it? Are you coming out or not?" Du Xiaofu fiercely threw the small tower several times in a row. However, the small tower was not damaged at all. It was incomparably hard. "Brat, you dare to disrespect me. You will definitely regret it." Within the small tower, Zhen Qingchuan's voice also became agitated. This was completely different from what he had imagined. He could not remember why this happened. After he woke up, he had calculated the time before coming out. He originally thought that things would develop in the direction he wanted. However, now it seemed that everything was completely different from what he had imagined. This thing is very strange. He had tried everything, even smashing it with rocks. However, the result was that the small tower was not damaged at all. There was not even a trace of it. Zhen Qingchun hid in the small tower and did not come out. However, he continued to threaten and hoot from within the small tower. This made Du Xiaofu unable to do anything. "Brat, give up. This is an extraordinary object. It is impervious to fire and water. You will not be able to open it even in your next life." Haha. Within the small tower, Zhen Qingchuan's voice laughed complacently. Then, he said fiercely, "Wait until I recover. I will definitely not let you off. Do you really think that I cannot do anything to you? If you don't come out, then don't come out again. I don't care if you have a primordial spirit body. It is also a strange object." Du Xiaofu suddenly smiled. That smile was obviously malicious. Then, he threw the small tower in his hand beside a rock. Then, he smiled evilly and unbuttoned his pants at the same time. It is said that a virgin's urine can suppress evil. I want to see how long you can hide. Du Xiaofu smiled evilly. Suddenly, a fishy and hot stream of water rushed onto the small tower. "Shameless brat. This is a treasure. A treasure that is enough to make countless experts break their heads and bleed for it. You dared to pour urine on it. You will be punished by the heavens. If you dare to do this to me, I will definitely not let you off." Within the small tower, Zhen Qingchuan's voice was filled with rage. However, he did not dare to come out. At dusk, the setting sun shone at an angle. The mountains that were exposed by the clouds seemed to be floating in the air. The mountains were like waves and waves, layer upon layer. The mountains were dark and boundless. The cliffs that looked like they had been carved by knives and axes stood tall and upright. They were all illuminated by the golden setting sun. In a deep valley, it was shockingly quiet and cold. Whoosh! In the deep valley, a woman dressed in orange robes shuttled through the valley. Dark red blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Her face was extremely pale. She looked back from time to time with an extremely serious expression. What a coincidence! Suddenly, a voice appeared in front of the orange-robed figure. A young man walked out with a smile on his face. The girl's body froze. She looked at the young man who suddenly appeared in front of her. Her pale face was filled with shock. It was as if she had seen a ghost. She said in surprise, You didn't die. The former was the girl who wanted to snatch Du Xiaofu's blood infant Ganoderma. She thought that the young man would definitely die if he jumped off the cliff. Now that she suddenly saw him, she was shocked. I have a strong life. I won't die so easily. The latter was Du Xiaofu. He did not expect to meet the girl one day. More importantly, he did not expect to meet her alone. He did not see the raging flame demonic falcon and the others. He looked at the girl and smiled. However, since I didn't die, it means that you are in trouble. You are no match for me. Looking at Du Xiaofu's evil smile, the girl frowned slightly. She pretended to be calm. I know that you are very strong, but, the girl in front of him was indeed very strong. However, it was different now. Du Xiaofu did not believe that this girl could be stronger than the king-scaled demonic tiger. He smiled at the girl and said, "Look behind you." When the young girl heard this, she turned her head back to take a look. Suddenly, her expression changed greatly, and her beautiful face turned pale. Roar! The king-scaled demonic tiger appeared in front of the girl. It was as tall as a small mountain. Its roar was like thunder. You brought the king-scaled demonic tiger here. The girl was shocked. Looking at the reaction of the king-scaled demonic tiger in Du Xiaofu, she knew that the king-scaled demonic tiger was brought here by this young man. She did not forget that she wanted to snatch the blood infant Ganoderma from this young man. I said that if you want to snatch my blood infant Ganoderma, I will snatch you back and make you my servant. Du Xiaofu smiled. It turned out that this girl was also afraid. She also had a weak side. However, if he did not take revenge, he would not be a gentleman. Humph! The girl coldly snorted and looked sideways at the king-scaled demon tiger behind her. Her slender figure suddenly jumped out and pounced on Du Xiaofu. At the same time, she stretched out her right hand and an invisible chi gushed out from her palm. To catch bandits, first catch the leader. She could only deal with the boy in front of her first. She knew that she was no match for the king-scaled demon tiger. When he felt the pressure caused by the invisible force, Du Xiaofu's eyes immediately raised. Light talismans surged around his body as he waved his hand and blasted out a palm strike that carried a fluctuation that was like a tempestuous wave. Suddenly, a violent energy wave appeared in front of him. It violently swept out and finally collided with the girl's palm. Bang! The two palms collided, directly scraping off a layer of grass in the dense forest. A large patch of shrubs was also cut in half. Then, the girl's delicate body flew out in a straight line. She spat out dark red blood from her mouth and finally landed heavily on the ground. Roar! The king-scaled demonic tiger roared. Its tiger paw was like a huge rock falling from the sky towards the girl. If it landed, her graceful body would be directly turned into meat paste. Little tiger, stop! Du Xiaofu loudly shouted. He felt that something was wrong. This girl's strength should be stronger than his. However, she was not his match just now. It was obvious that this girl was injured. Her injuries were not light. When the king-scaled demonic tiger heard this, it immediately retracted its paw. Du Xiaofu came to the girl's side. The girl's eyes were powerlessly closed. She had actually fainted. At night, in the quiet dense forest, a bright white moon hung high in the sky. It projected mottled moonlight in the dense forest. Her injuries are not light. The claw mark on her back should be caused by a demonic beast. Du Xiaofu looked at the girl in front of him who was unconscious on the rock. He discovered that there was a wound on her back that was left by a demonic beast. The wound was not deep, but it was not light either. It was somewhat serious. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.